The process is often long and complicated, as another person explains.
J'ai pas reçu ma convocation pour aller voter et je peux pas retourner à cette adresse administrative officielle que j'ai encore. C'est ma adresse de référence parce qu'on me laisse plus entrer dans le bâtiment. C'est une maison de repos et un tour et taxi et on m'a mis dehors avec la police.
In addition, for people who are facing hardship, voting is often low on the list of priorities in comparison to more urgent needs.
Le résultat des élections, l'impact du résultat de mon vote sur ma situation, c'est infiniment lointain. Et quand vous êtes dans l'urgence, dans la survie, c'est des choses qui passent pas du tout dans vos priorités. C'est mon intuition.
The European Parliament has been asked to revise the need for a proof of address as a condition in order to vote. But for these elections, it's too late.
Hello, my name is André, and I am the co-founder of Ativet, a Portuguese youth association that strives to pave the way for a more inclusive and democratic society. Our main focus is political literacy, especially with European elections, to have citizens more engaged and informed. And if I were a member of the European Parliament, I would strive to make every voice heard, especially from the youth, and I would advocate for policies that promoted civic education and participation and opportunities for the youth in decision-making processes, because together we can help build a better future for the European Union.
Ich bin Lina Jonsen, ich bin 26 Jahre alt und mein Vorschlag für die Zukunft ist ziemlich simpel: mehr Demokratie. Es reicht nicht, wenn wir alle 4 Jahre ein Kreuz machen. Wir sollen in Gesellschaftsräten zusammenkommen und auch das Vertrauen und die Gewissheit haben, dass Vorschläge umgesetzt werden, dass wir Mitbestimmungsrecht haben und das Interesse vieler Menschen über dem Interesse einiger weniger steht.
Euronews, the European Elections News Channel.
To choose Grana Padano is to embrace its unique Italian values. A moment to be shared. Grana Padano, an Italian feeling.
Discover the Euronews app. Stay connected anytime, anywhere. Get the latest news in video. Let the pictures tell the story, with no comment. Download the Euronews app.
It was around 7 a.m. when the residents were woken by the air raid sirens. The damage is colossal.
Everything is alright.
On aimerait tous que ça se passe comme ça. Mais ce n'est pas parce que les infos se terminent que les crises ne sont plus d'actualité. C'est pour cela que depuis 40 ans, et tant qu'il le faudra, Handicap International agit sans relâche pour que les personnes les plus vulnérables ne soient jamais laissées pour compte.
Sunday the 9th of June, European Elections 2024. Follow live from Brussels on Euronews.
Euronews, the news.
Elections for a new European Union Parliament are set to be an uphill battle for the liberal democratic group Renew Europe. Euronews projects that the pro-EU and pro-market group will face big losses in the polls that could damage their leverage in negotiations to form a new parliamentary coalition.
Liberal parties traditionally were strong in Western Europe, and it's particularly in Western Europe that you see a fragmentation of the political landscape. So they become smaller at the national level and therefore also at the European level without being able to compensate this loss in the so-called new member states in Central and Eastern Europe.
The EU Liberals had an impressive surge in the 2019 European elections. But Renew could lose as many as 20 MEPs in the upcoming vote, likely dropping to 82 seats from 102. The Super poll data projects a downsizing of Liberal parties in the EU parliamentary election. This is particularly likely in France and the Netherlands. However, according to the simulations by the Euronews Poll Centre, Renew Europe is still a relevant player in the coalition's game. For a Liberal-Conservative coalition, Renew could be important from a numerical point of view. And from an ideological point of view, they would represent a counterbalance to a right-wing coalition. Even with less MEPs, Renew remains essential if it were possible to form a grand coalition, including the centre-right European People's Party and the alliance of Socialists and Democrats, as in the current parliament. Renew's struggles reflect many of the challenges it has faced on a national level over the past year and a bit. Issues of importance to European voters, including purchasing power, migration, energy and farmers' protests.
The Portuguese government announced a new plan to toughen immigration rules. They put an end to the regime that allowed foreigners to enter the country and only then apply for a residence permit. From now on, it will no longer be possible for a foreigner with a tourist visa to apply for legalization in Portugal.
A circunstância de termos procedimento segundo o qual uma simples manifestação de interesse é suscetível de facilitar e descontrolar a entrada de migrantes em Portugal, deve ter fim e vai ter fim.
The announcement comes days before millions of Europeans head to the polls to vote for their representatives in the European Parliament, in an election widely anticipated to tilt the bloc's politics to the right.
Lithuania is the only country in Europe to have a female-only list of candidates for the European Parliament. Launched by the Green Party, it aims to draw attention to women's representation in politics, as well as to tackle other gender issues, such as the pay gap.
Positive discrimination, if it's possible to say so, is needed, because here in Lithuania we have other candidates list where male dominate, and in very first places in the list also men are written.
The list also includes a candidate from the Roma community. She's hoping to become an MEP to fight for the rights of young Roma girls who are forced into marriage.
Pomóc młodym dziewczynkom, żeby oni nie wyszli za mąż, jak jest bardzo młody. Oni nie mogą iść do adwokata i pomóc. Ja nie chcę iść za męża. Ja chcę iść do szkoły, do edukacji. Oni nie mogą to pomówić. I ja myślę, że Europa, ona musi nam pomóc i dlatego ja jestem tutaj.
There's also a lawyer that's been helping migrants at the border with Belarus for years and wants to change the new migration pact.
There are a lot of risks in these documents that might enable torture and violence on the border, detention of children, women, and basically just denial of asylum. So I believe that we need people in the European Parliament that would protect everyone's right, including people on the move.
Experts seem to appreciate the charisma of the women in the region.
Rozszerzenie 2004 roku, napływ bardzo aktywnych kobiet z Europy Środkowej i Wschodniej, które często muszą dzielić troskę, ale i poświęcać czas na zadania domowe, także wiedzą, co jest ważne dla kobiet.
Today, around 40% of the European Parliament members are women. And even though women now hold high positions in Brussels, all problems related to inequality still remain relevant and unsolved in many countries. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Vilnius.
While European institutions are urging people to go out and vote, for many living on the street, this is not possible. A European group of organizations working with the homeless Fianza says some 900,000 people are living rough or in temporary accommodation. Most of them are EU citizens, many of whom are barred from voting for administrative reasons.
You need to have a permanent address where you are registered so that you can vote. So if homeless people live in temporary accommodation, or they live in shelters or in the street, it is difficult for them to register in a permanent address.
And it's not only people living on the streets, but also those in complicated housing situations, people without their own homes. In Brussels, they gather at the citizens' lobby, the Syndicat des Immenses, to offer one another help. One of them says she'd like to vote in the European elections, but can't.
J'ai pas d'adresse, donc parce que j'ai perdu mon logement et en plus j'ai même plus de carte d'identité parce qu'on m'a volé mes papiers. Et donc je n'existe pas en tant que citoyenne de mon propre pays parce que moi je suis belge. Donc si on n'existe pas au point de vue administratif, on peut pas voter.
In theory, they could get a reference address at a foster home, but the process is often long and complicated, as another person explains.
J'ai pas reçu ma convocation pour aller voter et je peux pas retourner à cette adresse administrative officielle que j'ai encore. C'est ma adresse de référence parce qu'on me laisse plus entrer dans le bâtiment. C'est une maison de repos et un tour et taxi et on m'a mis dehors avec la police.
In addition, for people who are facing hardship, voting is often low on the list of priorities in comparison to more urgent needs.
Le résultat des élections, l'impact du résultat de mon vote sur ma situation, c'est infiniment lointain. Et quand vous êtes dans l'urgence, dans la survie, c'est des choses qui passent pas du tout dans vos priorités. C'est mon intuition.
The European Parliament has been asked to revise the need for a proof of address as a condition in order to vote. But for these elections, it's too late. Organisers had expected it to be a big protest ahead of the European elections, despite the fact that Brussels recently eased environmental demands in its common agricultural policy.
Hello. I just wanna say thank yous are not for progressive values. I just want to make that very clear, all right? Thank yous and communists are not for progressive values. I would argue both of them are as against progressive values as it can be. I just think thank yous are honest about it and commies are more so deluded. Stupid as shit. But yeah, I got into a conversation with a bunch of Croats on Twitter yesterday, and one of them has described my views as, and I quote, the newest voter of 21st century, Citizen 3000. I'm an upgraded version. Straight from the EPP factory. Votes for progressive values, but while waving the national flags. And I was like, all right. All right. Not even that bad. Not even that bad, genuinely. Not even that bad of a description. Couldn't be mad.
The main farmers' organization in the
Communist
EU,
Central Gaze in a mental asylum? True. Which, fun fact, we had a
The Green European Party
gay
says
pride
these
in Croatia
organizations are capitalizing
this
on issues
weekend.
raised by farmers.
Guess
Its
which
leading candidate,
flags?
Bas Eickhout, is
Guess
quoted as
which
saying that the
flags
far right has
were
been
waved
feeding
on it?
farmers with the lie
Guess which
that Europe
fucking
and the Green
flags?
Deal are to
It
blame
wasn't
for
the
their
Soviet
hardship,
Union. It wasn't that
adding that a
bad.
small
No.
number
It
of
was
farmers have
Yugoslavia.
adopted these lies and
It
are
was the
siding
fucking
with
flag
them.
of
They
Yugoslavia.
said the Greens were willing to work with
For
farmers
some
to operate within the
stupid
framework
ass
of democracy.
fucking reason.
The
And you know
protests,
what's
which
even
began
worse,
during the
even
winter,
more
have
insulting than the fact
pressurised
it
the
was the
European
flag of
Commission
Yugoslavia
into
being
changing the
waved
cap
around?
and dropping legislation
It's the
over
fact that
pesticide
almost
use.
no politicians spoke out
Security
about
is a
it.
top priority for Germany as
Almost
they prepare
no
to
one.
host the upcoming
They
European
just
Football
allowed
Championship.
it.
Speaking at a
They were
news
like, yeah,
conference days
a
before the
Yugoslav
official
flag
start of the
waved
competition, the
around
German Interior
at a gay
Minister said
pride
the country
in
was
Croatia.
preparing
Completely
for all
normal.
conceivable
Completely
dangers.
fucking
She
normal.
also
Just
said
alright. It was
cooperation going
Plenković
very
who
well
said
across
that
the
it's
federal
illogical
and state level.
to wave the Yugoslav flag at gay pride. It was Plenković, and yeah, the criticism of it being illogical, while true, is a way too mild. But that was that really. That was that. That was the extent of the whole situation. Oh, it's illogical.
Germany invited
From
around
one
300
person, from
security
one fucking
experts to
person.
take part in a monitoring
You know who they
project at
chose
the
as a hero?
International
I'll
Police
tell you who they chose as a
Cooperation
hero.
Centre.
Our president.
They will take turns to
Our
monitor the
president,
situation
the
on
man,
the ground.
the man, the
For the
myth, the
matches
legend,
themselves, all hands will be on
Milanovic.
deck.
I made a
Police have been
Vatnik soup on
forbidden
him,
from taking leave
which
during
got
the
quite a
tournament.
lot of support actually.
Germany will also
But
introduce security controls with all
they
9
made
of the
Milanovic
country's
the hero
supporters.
of the Pride Parade, the man who is spreading Russian propaganda for, well, 2 years at this point. More, 3 years. He started way earlier. He started before the Russian invasion. Fun fact, that's what I learned. He started before. You remember when Russian troops were on the border with Ukraine? Milanovic at the time criticized politicians who were talking about it. Like before the invasion even started, he was like, why are you talking about this? Why are you pretending to be brave? If Ukraine gets invaded, none of us are gonna do anything, so why are you even commenting on this? Why are you going there? So yeah, he was chosen as the hero of the Pride Parade, of course. Also, fun fact, China's trying to get countries to support the Chinese peace plan for Ukraine. Guess who?
Let's find out more.
Do we say accidentally, by coincidence, went to Brazil recently and is very likely to support the Chinese peace plan? Guess which piece of shit? Thank you, Demi. How's job doing? Thank you. Is that illegal, waving Yugoslav flags? Yeah. Yeah, waving the flags of another country without being allowed to wave the flags of another country or to display the flags of another country is illegal in Croatia. Yeah, you can't display a flag of another country unless you are specifically allowed to display a flag of another country by the authorities in the area, right? But nope. Still, they waved the Yugoslav flags everywhere and no one did a damn thing. No one fucking reported it. We saw it in the pictures later. They did go viral, so I'm hoping something comes out of it. But no one did a damn thing while it was going on. Destination? Future enemies? Stop civil war and other shit? Stop civil war? What the hell? My dude, the hell. I was so angry. I was so fucking angry. Imagine that. Gay pride and you go around waving communist flags. That's... I'm so salty over it. I'm so salty over it. You know what that is? Do you remember that USA Pride Parade? Where they had the... I think they specifically took the flag of Ukrainian SSR and then they put the rainbow flag under it. Do you not know what Soviet fucking Union would have done to your people? The hell are you doing, simping for communist regimes? What is that stupidity? What is that? And then the same types of people. Last time we had leftists doing their little protest in the capital, and I'm not even against them protesting, But there were people in the audience waving around a banner which had the flags of North and South Korea, and it was asking you which one of them is a democracy. And then they go, oh yeah, the excuse was, when it comes to Yugoslav flags, the excuse was, we're waving Yugoslav flags because we want to be triggering right-wingers. You're bringing a Yugoslav flag to a pride parade to trigger the right-wingers. How the fuck, in what goddamn world does that make any sort of a sense? Like, I go around waving a Nazi flag right now, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm triggering the left-wingers? Will that make any sort of a fucking sense? It would not make any sort of a fucking sense. What sort of stupidity? It's just allowing trash at their protest to have more people at protest. It makes me so angry. YouTube Premium, I'm a poor bitch. I'm a poor bitch. I'm having to pay for my classes, alright? I'm a poor bitch right now.
They put an end to the regime
I can't
that
buy
allowed
shit.
foreigners
I
to
cannot
enter the
buy
country
shit. New
and
teamfight
only
tactics.
then apply for a residence permit.
Patch
From
came
now
out
on, it will
recently,
no
new
longer be
content. I
possible for a
can't buy
foreigner with a
shit.
tourist
I'm
visa
poor
to
right now.
apply for legalization in Portugal.
Some queer activists started stirring shit against UAF in Ukrainian media. Crap. Haven't seen that. You know which one I did see? The Medvedchuk girl. What's her name? She's going viral on Twitter. She's going viral on Twitter. Man, I don't remember her name. She's going viral as like the voice of Ukrainians who hate Zelensky, but she's just the Medvedchuk girl, and she was silent until now for some reason. But I'm also seeing quite a lot of people pointing out that there's a new wave of bots. Talking about bots, I have to show you something else. But there's a new wave of bots on Twitter, and they are pretending to be Ukrainian. It's like a specifically a new thing that they're doing. So they did get some prominent Ukrainian pro-Russian activists, Medvedchuk girl being one of them, and then they got just a bunch of fake Ukrainian accounts to be supporting these pro-Russian activists. That's what they're doing right now. But talking about Twitter bots, guess who? Guess who is trying to fix their reputation before the new elections for European Union Parliament? Because it's Claire Daly. Claire Daly has gotten bots. I don't know in what world it works, but Claire Daly has gotten bots to say she never supported Russia. They go under all posts talking about Claire Daly, and they're like, no, she actually never voted for Russia. She actually never voted in favor of Russia. And you can just very easily Google it, and she did. But still, she's trying to say that all criticism against her is a media play, so she wouldn't get elected into the new European Union Parliament. She's trying to turn the reputation fully around for some reason. And I'm not even sure if it works only on bots or if it works on real people too, because I'm seeing a lot of people defend her, but I am seeing them say basically the same shit, which is like media attack on Claire Daly. So, I'm guessing most are bots, but still, Claire fucking Daly. Out of all people, if it was some ambiguous figure, I would have understood it. If it was someone who has been sitting in the corner all of this time, now trying to switch their reputation around, you would have been like, alright, or no one knows who this little fucktard is. They're trying to make themselves seem presentable. No one knows their stupid name. It might work, right? Claire fucking Daly. Out of all people, Claire, man.
While European institutions are urging
I
people
don't
to go out
know.
and vote,
I was so surprised. Claire fucking Daly.
A European group of
Lots of
organizations
pro-Ukrainians don't like Zelensky or Budanov. Oh no, the specific comment, the specific comments that Medvedchuk girl is writing are in line of Zelensky is trying to eradicate Ukrainian nation itself. Zelensky is not allowing democratic elections in Ukraine. He wants to kill every single last Ukrainian in fighting against Russia. It's not the argument in a line of, oh, we don't think Zelensky is making smart decisions for the country. Here's the list of mistakes that he's been making. Because I know there's criticism to be made about Zelensky and his certain of his policies, right? It's not that. It's straight up, word for word. Zelensky wants to eradicate Ukrainian nation by fighting to every last Ukrainian. We want peace with Russia. So, yeah, it's a different type of criticism. Because I follow Ukrainians, proper Ukrainians, and I do see their criticism of Zelensky regularly. Even when it comes to Budanov, there's like proper criticism against them. But I don't see them say shit like, oh, Zelensky is forcing us to fight because he wants to eradicate Ukrainian nation. I don't see them say shit like that. I don't see them say, oh, we Ukrainians want to have peace with Russia and we don't want to be fighting against them anymore. I do not see them say shit like that. I'm making the background quiet. Yeah, sure.
Avec la police.
Russians pretending Americans and Texasers, and when there were problems with Russian internet, Twitter. Oh shit, yeah, I remember that. They would like go quiet during times of the day when Russians were sleeping too. So they had a lot less activity when it was nighttime in Russia. They weren't smart enough to even fix that. I didn't get a tan. I was playing around with camera settings. I'm trying to figure out how to introduce proper light into the room, because I'm trying to figure out how to block the sunlight window. And yeah, it's a testing phase. It's a testing. What did she do? Claire Daly. Her pro-Russian shit starts way back before Russia even invaded. Because Claire Daly has claimed that Russian military troops on the border with Ukraine are, and I quote, obviously defensive. And she claimed there's a rise in Russophobia in Europe. And because of that, we think Russia is going to attack. Then it came time for them to do the voting, which was condemning the Russian aggression on Ukraine. Claire Daly voted against. Claire Daly claimed this is a proxy war. Claire Daly claimed that this war was staged by the West against Russia. Claire Daly has, at one point, there was a conversation in European Union Parliament about Russians arresting Navalny, and Claire Daly asked, why are we even raising panic about this? Why are we even talking about this? What's even there to talk about? They just arrested an opposition candidate. So what? Why don't we talk about what USA is doing with the protesters? Claire Daly has been shilling for anti-Western regimes throughout the entirety of her career, really. Claire Daly also has said that arming Ukraine is prolonging the war. She is against arming Ukraine. She keeps on doing the thing which is like, oh yeah, I'm against military support for Ukraine because I think it's prolonging the war and I think we should be pushing for a peace resolution to this war, proxy war, started by the West against the same West organized a coup in 2014. It's basically just Russian propaganda again and again and again and again and again, completely all of the time. Claire Daly also very close to Mick Wallace. Mick Wallace, who has tried to block the European Union conversation, debate about the downing of MH17. He tried to just like not allow a fucking conversation on it. Mick Wallace is a bigger cunt than Claire Daly is, but she absolutely was always by his side. she's not any sort of better. So when she tries to present these facts as some sort of a media attack, it's ridiculous to watch. He would have been amazing foreign minister as president. He sucks. Oh, Zelensky?
By organizers who've been accused of links with far-right organizations.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that he would be very good as a foreign minister. Yeah, I can see that. West provoked Russia by moving Russian troops into Ukraine against their will. West has been arming Ukraine for years before, I hear. It has been arming Ukraine for years. Oh, you know what I heard recently? You know who actually staged the coup in Ukraine in 2014? Oh, it wasn't USA. It wasn't USA, and it wasn't European Union either. Nah, you losers. You know who it was? IMF. It was the IMF because in 2014 Ukraine asked them for a loan, and IMF was like, yeah, Ukraine, we're gonna give you a loan, but there's a bunch of like other debts you will have to take on side of it. And at the time, Russia was like, oh no, Ukraine, we're gonna give you cash money for this loan, no strings attached. And then Yanukovych chose the Russian option to take the loan with no strings attached because he didn't want to take the extra debts. And then IMF staged the coup in Ukraine to start this entire war. So yeah, fun fact, I guess you didn't know about it. Of course you didn't. It's secret knowledge. It's only available to Claire fucking Daly voters, apparently, because I've seen the graphic shared in her comments. So yeah.
Our main focus is political literacy, especially
I don't even know.
citizens more engaged and informed.
Russia gathers our equipment and then invades Ukraine while West is pleading, please don't invade. I have no fucking idea. It's always some sort of like provocation. It's always some sort of they were provoked. Russia had to attack because the West was provoking them, as if this is like playground fucking politics, as if this is two kids fighting, and then you can be like, why are these kids fighting? And then you go, oh, one of them said he fucked the other one's mom, so this one was provoked to go and slap his ass. Man, just like the most shallow, primitive way to view politics. I'm damn angry about it. Space Magnet, that too. He brought too much incompetent degenerates into power, and his only good quirk is intimidating Westerners. Yeah, I see that as a quirk. Don't know about incompetent degenerates being brought into power, but I'm gonna trust you on that. But yeah, I do agree that his way of speaking to Western leaders has been really, really good. He had really, really good speeches, he had really, really good presence. Did really, really good interviews. So yeah, as a foreign minister, I can see how he would be incredible. It was the vaccines, but Russians used Russian vaccines, which, if you didn't know, were the better vaccines. Russian vaccines were the better ones, and then everything that the Westerners had were actually fake vaccines that make you die from COVID. But Russian ones were the good ones, and those actually make you not get COVID. Yeah, fun fact, that too. You were never aware of this.
When it comes to the guidelines,
what's this man talking about? Great. Talking about TikTok, I'm talking about TikTok.
What do you think about the theory of the great replacement?
There's a clip on TikTok being shared among Serbs right now.
I guess at 1.3.
And it's a clip saying that when the Red Army was liberating Belgrade, you know how they were raping women along the path, right? And then Tito went to Stalin to be like, hey, your people should stop raping our women. And Stalin was like, ha ha ha, no, fuck you, Tito. And then we had the great Yugoslav Soviet Union split. There's a clip being shared on Serb social platforms that claims that the people who were fighting in the Red Army to liberate Belgrade were actually Ukrainians. The idea is that they all were Ukrainians, so it was the Ukrainians who were raping Serb women, and then, you know, in reality, the Yugoslav Soviet Union split happened because of Ukrainians.
Let's vote.
And like, you go to check it, you know why they think that? It's because the specific part of the military that came to liberate Belgrade was called, it was like 3rd Ukrainian Brigade or something, wasn't even made up of Ukrainians. Only one fraction of the military was actually Ukrainians. 2 fractions were Russians. Then you had people from, it was Azerbaijan, it was 3 different ones from Bulgaria. I don't even remember the rest of them. I know one was Uzbekistan. What else did we have? We had Finland once. It was basically the entirety of Soviet Union, really. The entire military of the Soviet Union at the time was shit. They're just trying to say it was specifically Ukrainians. No one looked it up. No one fucking looked it up. You can find, like, fraction by fraction, every single part of the specific brigade that came here. No one came to look it up. No one was like, hey, yeah, let me go and Google. Let me go and figure out which ethnicities were really in it. No, I can be talking shit about Ukraine. I'm gonna be talking shit about Ukraine. I'm not gonna bother to look it up for a fucking second. I'm not even using TikTok. I'm scared of using TikTok. I don't wanna be using Serb TikTok. I've been to Serb Twitter these past few days. It was bad. But to be fair, I was on Croatian Twitter these past few days and it was bad. It was you would be amazed how incredibly stupid nationalists are. Genuinely, that's what I've learned. The IQ level needed to be a nationalist is like down on the ground. Down under the fucking ground, alright? It's lobotomy level idiocy levels. The bullshit that they will take just because someone is selling it to them as love for their nation, it's ridiculous. Like, there's legit Croats with big following online who will sell the idea of loving their homeland and loving God, and then they preach for fascism and Nazism to be coming back. They're so stupid. They're genuinely so stupid. It's just,
from a numerical point of view,
man,
and from an
legit fucking surprising.
They would represent a
I don't even know.
to a right-wing coalition.
Fucking voters.
Even with less MEPs, Renew remains essential if it were possible to form a grand coalition.
Spotify Ukrainians, pro-Ukrainian, or some pro-Russian Latnik. You know what's a good thing? You know what's a good thing to do? What I've noticed works is you ask them, you go and you ask them,
to European voters, including
how to say this?
Migration, energy, and farmers.
There's Vatnik lies that they will never fail to push into the conversation. One of them, for example, is Holodomor. And I've seen a lot of Ukrainians pointing this out to figure out who is like a Russian pretending to be Ukrainian. A Russian pretending to be Ukrainian will always say that Holodomor was never a thing. Despite the fact that Ukrainians, most Ukrainians that you find talking about this, have fucking relatives that went through it. Every single Russian, every time when asked, will say that this was never a thing. They will not even say that like it was differently experienced in different parts or something. No. Every single one of them will say it never happened. They simply can't. They can't acknowledge it. They're not allowed to. I've heard another good one is also the question about like the ways to end this war, because every single one of them will always say that Russia deserves to get the areas that it occupies right now. It's basically a fact almost to them that like Russia is getting the areas that it wants. That's that. Russia is getting these areas, you can't get them back. They will never say, oh yeah, well maybe we should debate about this, maybe we should. I've seen some Croats recently, Milanovic specifically, because fuck Milanovic, proposing the equivalent of the Z4 deal, which it was basically a deal that was supposed to give Serbs the occupied area in Croatia for 2 years, and then in these 2 years they were supposed to like figure out the situation, and then the areas go back in Croatia. Russians will not even say that. They're like, no, what we have, that's what we have, and then we debate about the rest. They will never take the option of like returning the areas to Ukraine. Wise man won't be called radical or far something. That's true. That legit is one of the observations I've taken. They tend to do this thing where on every issue, it reminds me of American leftists actually. You know how there's this thing about them hating Biden because Biden doesn't do progress fast enough? You have that in Croatian right-wingers too. It's like unless you are really radical about certain steps, then you don't even count as right-winger, right? You don't even count. You have people that are saying that our far-right parties don't count as far-right because they don't want to kick every single foreigner out of the country. Despite the fact that these parties are pulling for the Great Replacement theory. No, it doesn't matter to them because pushing for this theory doesn't count as being right-wing, not far-right, right-wing. It doesn't count if you didn't kick out all the foreigners. It's laughable the level of standards that they're able to like push for someone. They're legit claiming that people believing in a Great Replacement theory are center. The hell. Pro-Russian European. I feel I would not have the patience. In my limited interactions with them, I don't think I have the patience. Difference between the European Union and the Soviet Union? Well, first thing is that European Union doesn't force you to become a member. European Union doesn't force you to become a member. It doesn't have a way to force you to become a member in the first place, right? The second thing is that European Union is not trying to eradicate cultures of member states in favor of one stronger culture in it.
If homeless people live in temporary accommodation, they live in shelters or in the street.
Another thing would be the fact that European Union doesn't send tanks onto your streets to kill your protesters when they stage performances and protest against the European Union. You know, that also happens to be one of them.
To offer one another help. One of them says she'd like to vote in the European elections.
IMF, ECB and European Commission formed a consortium to manage the bank bailouts of all European states. I'm calling it Troika. They ain't beating the shadowy puppet past allocation. I see that. I can agree that we have shadowy puppet masters, alright? But still, I can only agree to them being used in certain conspiracies.
As another person explains.
Everyone to the right of me is a Nazi, everyone to the left is a commie. I'm the only rational I feel there's like actual Nazis there and actual commies. And I do feel that we gotta be aware of how dangerous they are. But yeah, I do think that misusing the words and using them way too often for people who don't really fit into the boxes is
voting is often low on the list of
a way for them to lose the meaning. And then if they lose the meaning, then you also get people being less aware of the danger of them. Though when I talk about Croatian nationalists being Nazis, I'm talking specifically. Spoke to one of them recently, and he made a comment about wanting to put people into camps. He wants to put people who are gay and he wants to put people who agree with abortions being available into camps.
It's too late.
And I was like, you are aware that's what like Nazis also were doing. And also you are aware they lost the war. And he's like, no, we'll come back.
Despite the
We'll
fact that
return.
Brussels recently eased environmental demands
You
in its common
what?
agricultural policy or
You? Then you go to the caption and it's like God and Croats. God and Croats, yeah, religion and patriotism.
But despite
Just clear
ongoing
example.
anger, this latest protest looks
Lobotomy,
more
a
like a
fucking
summer
lobotomy.
festival than a demonstration.
Maybe USSR was maybe US maybe insane. Maybe genuinely. My dude, I ain't taking your opinions on the future of humanity anyway seriously. Opinions on future of humanity and opinions on fucking communism. If the strongest criticism you are able to make of the Soviet Union is maybe it was wrong about something, are you fucking insane? Do you not know what the Soviet Union was? Maybe it was wrong about something? The hell is that? That is not a rational way of viewing the world, my dude. That is not a realistic way of looking at the situation. Maybe the USSR was wrong about something, he goes.
The Flemish
Ridiculous.
Belang and the Polish PIS. The main farmers' organisation in the EU, Kopa-Kožeka,
Have the far right in Poland referring to anyone that aren't quite far right enough as communists? Oh yeah, you have that too. You have that too. Yeah. It's like if you're not fully into Croatian nationalism, the idea is that you want to turn the country back into a Republic of Yugoslavia and that you're a communist, right? It's like if you're not strong enough as a nationalist, then you're inherently a communist because you want to bring us back into Yugoslavia. Even if you don't want to, if you're just like, no, I just want to be coexisting, no, it's like coexisting. That's what Yugoslavs wanted to be doing too.
Security is
You're
a
a
top
commie.
priority for Germany
So yeah,
as they prepare to
the
host
usage of the
upcoming
word is
European Football
messed up.
Championship. Speaking
It was
at a
wrong
news
communism.
conference
No, like
days
I'm
before
alright.
the official start of the competition, the German
I'm
Interior
alright
Minister said the country
with
was
the
preparing
ideas
for
on
all
development
conceivable
of
dangers.
humanity,
She also said
right?
cooperation
And
was
I'm
going
even
very
alright
well across
with
the federal and
presenting
state
the
level.
idea humanity might evolve into something resembling today's idea of communism. I would take that idea seriously, and I'm not inherently opposed to it. But the idea that your opinion on it is valid if it follows a sentence like maybe the USSR was wrong about something, everything you write after that is just bullshit. Everything you write about after that is bullshit, because with that, you've shown you deluded. Nothing you say after that matters until you get properly educated on the issues of attempting to have communism in the past. Your opinions of communism in the future are irrelevant to the conversation. You're not realistic. Maybe USSR was wrong about something. No. No. It just immediately deletes any sort of relevance you have in the conversation. Yeah. Man, you look into their genocide, you look into their ethnic cleansing, you look into their deportations, you look into them starving entire nations. And then it's like, maybe. Well, maybe they were wrong about something. No, it is about the fact of what the USSR was like. It is. Because I don't care about your predictions about the future if you are ridiculously deluded about the past. I don't care what you predict for the future. Your predictions are irrelevant. Your opinions are irrelevant. You're not a person educated on the matter enough to be speaking about this. I don't care what you think the future of humanity is going to be. From my position, you could be saying that like dragons are going to come and burn the whole world down, and I would take that as seriously as I'm taking your little analysis of communism. Right? Because you've shown the position where you stand already, and you've shown that this is the position of being absolutely uneducated.
Euronews.
It doesn't matter what you think about the future of humanity. Every single conservative in her chat whip spends all her strength complaining about communism. Yeah, progressives have nothing to do with communism. To be progressive doesn't mean that you have accepted the idea of communism. So it has nothing to do with each other. It has nothing with each other in connection. There's no reason why one would be unable to be a progressive and why one would be unable to hate communism. Especially when it comes to people who have seen what communism gets countries through. Of course I'm gonna be bitching about it. Also, I'm not calling myself a progressive, fun fact. I got called a progressive. I'm using it as an
unexpectedly low turnout at the latest
Let's say it like
European
that. I
farmers
got called a
demonstration
progressive
that comes just
because
days
I
before
support
the EU
progressive
parliamentary
policies when it comes to Croatia. I support quite a lot of specifically progressive policies in Croatia, right? I am aware that in a society that favors a lack of education, what you define as progressive policies might be bringing the world back into communism so we can go around ethnically cleansing each other in the name of progress. But I would like to inform you that this is not really an opinion shared by a lot of other people.
But despite
Familiar with
ongoing
anarchism?
anger,
Yes.
this
Yes.
latest protest looks more
Not
like a
a
summer
big
festival
supporter
than a demonstration.
of the idea, but I'm familiar with it. I'm I understand the idea. I just don't really see a lot of relevancy with it. Did Twitch get rid of whispers? No, it didn't.
Was one of
No,
the
it didn't.
key
I think it
demands
didn't.
made by organisers who've been accused of links with far-right organisations.
Progressives associate themselves with communism and waving USSR flags. I would argue that everyone who has not undergone a lobotomy should be able to understand why that is an extremely stupid way of viewing the world and also defining progressives. You know, it's one of those things where like you have to be really constricted to the box of anti-Western thinking in order to see that as anything progressive. You really have to be into anti-Western conspiracies.
Did not take part in the demonstration,
but for normal
and chose
people,
not to comment because of the controversy. The Green European Party says these organisations are capitalising on issues
again,
raised
like
by
I'm just-
farmers. Its leading candidate, Bas Eickhout, is quoted as saying that the far right has
I don't
been
know why you're
feeding
trying
farmers
to
with the
ask
lie
questions in
that
the
Europe
first
and the
place.
Green Deal are to
So
blame for their
USSR
hardship.
was
And
maybe
a small
wrong
number
about
of farmers
something.
have adopted these lies and are siding with them. They say the Greens were willing to work with
my
farmers
dude,
who operate within the framework of democracy. The protests, which began during
Okay, I don't care for your
It's
analysis.
March 2020.
Your analysis genuinely doesn't matter. But hey, proper actual conversation ongoing. Got a video on how war in Ukraine is de-Russifying Baltic states, and I thought Ivo is going to like it. Thought Ivo is going to be a big fan of it.
24, and teams of high school students from around Europe have
China's
descended
great.
on Italy to take
China's
part
great
in
in
the
one thing.
European
China's
robotics
great in one thing and one thing only. And to be fair, I don't understand the details of the situation. What I do understand that right now, Winnie the Pooh is trying to fuck Putin in the ass, alright? What I do understand is that they had a whole deal on energy selling, and China is trying to get to the better part of it. And Russia seems to be in a position where it will just have to take whatever offer China is giving to them, because Russia has lost basically every single big partner that it used to be having. So one thing that China is currently succeeding in, and that we can all be applauding them for, is absolutely fucking Putin over. So GG for that. But they do support their delusional peace plan of Ukraine, which is called peace plan, but is in reality legitimizing Russian aggression. So yeah, I'm hoping that crumbles. I'm hoping that absolutely falls down. Come on, win.
Championship.
They got 26 countries, as far as I know. They got 26 countries to be supporting the Chinese peace plan.
In the World Robotics Championships in Houston, Texas. A chance for these talented youngsters to get noticed and potentially go on to study in the United States. Lithuania sends 4 teams to participate. The Baltic state had already expressed its concerns with the championships because it allowed Russian teams to take
congratulations.
part. They wrote in protest urging the event's organizers to ban the Russian
I hope you are enjoying your Balkan heritage. I hope you love coming to the lands of Balkan.
This is their opportunity too.
We're having really good seaside
because
opportunities.
They would be competing against Russian students. Only they weren't competing.
Glorious Chinese
that was
world
the
order.
case for 2 of the Lithuanian teams, Lituanica X and
You can always do what Montenegro did and just sell over your country to the Chinese
other countries
so they could build you half a highway.
Those 2 Lithuanian teams refused. Instead, they raised their own nation's flag, along with the flag of Ukraine, at the competition to show their solidarity with Ukraine and their opposition to what they view as the Russian invasion of a country that should be independent. Lithuania's high schoolers bore a heavy cost for this act of protest. Despite the 4 teams being among the competition leaders, giving them a great chance to head to Houston, their refusal to work alongside Russia's robotic students led them to being gulped.
Hey, they took billions,
Ultimately,
didn't take
they
your
didn't
land.
qualify. But their refusal
So
to
that
work alongside
was
Russia
just
served as
a
a
shitty
microcosm
business
of a
deal, I
trend
guess.
that's been occurring since the war in
Montenegro
Ukraine
had a thing
started.
with China
The
where it was supposed to
de-Russification
pay
of the
quite a lot of
Baltic
cash money
These
to get a
3 states,
highway.
Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia,
Chinese
are
built
roundly
half a
rejecting
highway,
Russian influence
demanded
across the
payment.
board.
Montenegro
And in this
couldn't pay
video,
them
we're going to
because
ask the
they
key
expected the
question,
payment is going to be coming from
To
people
find our
paying
answers,
to use the
we
highway,
first have to
right?
start with a history lesson.
So China
On
was like,
June
nah,
15th,
fuck you then, now
1940,
you owe us.
France's
And then
initial
Montenegro
resistance
had
to
to
its
sign
Nazi
their beaches
occupiers
over to China.
finally crumbled. France
So now
fell,
China just
opening
has
the door for
land
Adolf
in
Hitler and
Montenegro
his
that is
regime
theirs.
to launch an attack on Great Britain. Though that event triggered the darkest days in Europe for many countries that were involved in World War II, Joseph Stalin and his Soviet cronies saw an opportunity to consolidate power
Proper desolate,
while also
proper.
building up
At
the
least they're
Soviet
doing
Union's
it with
defenses against the
economic
Nazi
influence.
forces.
That's also true when it
Stalin
comes to
sent
China
an
and when it comes to the
ultimatum
USA too.
Lithuania,
At least
one
it's
of the
like a
3
business
Baltic
deal
states that border the
that
Baltic
crumbles,
Sea,
and then you
at the
gotta
time,
pay
one
off
of
the
the
debt,
countries that
or
could
you gotta
provide
lend
Stalin
them a
with a
part
clear
of your
path
country
into
for a
Finland.
while, but you're not
Stalin
getting
wanted
bombed.
Finland.
That's
He had
true,
already
that's true.
concentrated attacks on the country in
Some
an effort to claim
fuckwads
it
would
as
just
Soviet
bomb you
territory,
out of
leading to
existence
his
and then
ultimatum
claim
to
that you
Lithuania
provoked them.
being a
So,
simple one. It must
yeah,
form
true.
a government that was acceptable to the Soviet Union, in addition to allowing as many troops as
I
Stalin
suspect my
wanted to
grandpa
move
was
through the
Russian on
country on
father's
their way
side.
to Finland.
Ooh.
Antanas Smetona, the president of Lithuania, quickly
Northern
fled the
Kazakhstan.
country, leading to the
Mathematics
installation of a
0%.
people's
Nice,
government that granted the
congratulations.
Soviets their access.
Hope you had a beer to
Over the next
celebrate.
couple of days, Stalin issued similar ultimatums to Latvia and Estonia, with similar results in both countries. The turnaround in the Baltic states was rapid. The communist parties in each country, which were previously extremely small and held little influence over the Baltics, suddenly became the most powerful political forces in the 3 regions. As for the Soviets themselves, they set about working with these parties to create a new regime, ignoring the constitutions each of the 3 countries had in place as they assimilated Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia into the Soviet Union. Property became nationalized. Mass deportations began, primarily focused on women and children who were sent to the most inhospitable desert and Arctic regions in the Soviet Union. All told, Latvia and Lithuania lost 35,000 people to these deportations, but Estonia, or the worst of it, the country lost 60,000 people. Those deportations continued even as the Nazis came knocking on the Baltic states' collective doorstep.
Oh shit,
First,
are
many
you
of the Baltics considered
are you
the Nazis to be
quoting
their
the fucking
liberators. They hoped that
Oh,
Germany
who was
would
it? Was
force
it
the
a
Soviet
Serb?
Union out, allowing each state to re-establish independent governments while also
Who's
returning
the origin
nationalized
of that meme?
properties
A
to their
Greek?
original owners. That isn't what happened. Germany instead turned the
I
Baltic
think it is a
region
Greek.
into a new
You
territorial
absolutely
unit,
do
which it
support
dubbed
communist
Oslo,
ideas if you
and
say
began a
maybe
campaign of
USSR did
Nazification.
something wrong.
Baltic support for Germany
All right,
disappeared,
that's an
with the three
opinion that's
countries spending
deluded
the rest
even
of
for
the war
communists.
being fought over by
That's
Germany
an opinion
and the Soviet Union. They were little
that's
more
on
than
the
pawns
verge
in a
with being a
global war,
tanky
and
at
the
that
ravages
point.
of that war
It's
were
one
made
of those
clear
opinions,
when
like
it finally
when you
ended.
ask Russian about
Lithuania lost
Holodomor, and he's
15%
like,
of its population
no,
to the fighting.
maybe.
Estonia lost 25%,
Some parts of
and
USSR
Latvia,
had less
the worst
food.
affected of the three,
Maybe.
saw its population
All
decline
right.
by 30%.
Maybe because
Estimates
of
place the total
natural
wartime
things
and
that
occupation
happened
deaths in
and
the
that
three
were
countries
out of
during
the
World
state's
War II
control.
at
Maybe
520,000
some areas
people.
had a
The end
bit
of World
less
War II
food, so
brought
they
no
had to
reprieve
save
for
up
the
on
Baltic
it.
states.
But that's
Rather than
that.
being
That was
granted
all
their
there is.
independence, each
That's
was made a
that's
Soviet republic,
literally the
with
level
Stalin
of
working on
denial
integrating the three
that
countries
you're
into the
using.
Soviet Union.
It's the same level of
Resistance
denial.
movements existed, but they
So
couldn't stop the
absolutely.
march of Soviet industrialization.
Absolutely, like
For the next
communism
40 years, until the
on the
mid-1980s
verge of
and the
being a
rise of Mikhail
tanky.
Gorbachev, the Baltics were little more than states within the Soviet Union.
40% Persian,
The
that's actually
1980s
cool to
brought
be honest.
change. Gorbachev
A
attempted
Turkish
to reform
man
the
found out
Soviet
he was
system
Greek.
during
True.
that decade,
True,
creating
because I've seen the
possibilities
meme
for the
about like a
Baltic
Serb man
countries.
finding out he was
Moscow's
Albanian.
centralized power structure began
And then
to
I asked
weaken
if it's a
with
Serb,
mass
and then I
movements
was like,
such as the
no,
Lithuanian
wait.
movement for reconstruction and the popular fronts of both
But
Latvia
yeah,
and
yeah,
Estonia
Turkish
began
man
fighting
found
for
out he
change.
was Greek.
They
True,
challenged
true,
the
true, true,
legality of the
true.
Baltic states' incorporation into the Soviet Union in
The great
1989,
frenemies
prompting a huge
of Europe.
demonstration
Do they
that saw
still do?
500,000
How did he
people
call
form
it,
a human
Hassan?
chain linking
Dog
Lithuania,
fights.
Estonia,
Do they
and
still
Latvia
do
to
dog
protest
fights?
against the German-Soviet non-aggression
I
pact
wonder.
of 1939 that had allowed the continued occupation by the Soviets in the first place. Finally, 1990 brought with it true change. All three countries held proper elections for the first time in decades, with all three voting in pro-independence parties. As the Soviet Union collapsed, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia spent the 1990s establishing their independence once more. They formed new constitutions, created their own currencies, and started establishing relationships with other countries. The 2000s brought with them continuous economic growth, capped in 2004 when all three of the Baltic nations joined the European Union, or EU, and NATO. After around 60 years, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia could finally claim to be free of Russian oppression. Why does all of this matter? This history goes some way toward explaining why we're seeing what we're seeing in the Baltics right now. But it also explains the need for de-Russification in
Oh,
these
by the way, I
states in
saved
the
some
first
news. I
place.
have to show it
Though
to you.
they've been long free from the Soviet Union,
Saved
all
some
three countries
news
still
I have to
contain
show
large
to
Russian
you
elements in
people.
various ways.
There's a
But over the last
push
2 years, all three have
for
started to
Article
reject
7.
those influences outright.
There's a
We'll start
push
with
for
Lithuania,
Article
the home
7
of the robotics teams that
in
refused to collaborate with the Russian teams to win
European
a competition
Union
that clearly meant a lot to them.
against
Their single act
Hungary.
of defiance is
Guess who
emblematic of a
started
wider
it?
movement within Lithuania to
Belgium.
rid the country of its Russian influences as much as possible.
Yeah,
On a
Belgium.
wider
I was like,
political
did I
level,
want to say
Lithuania
Bulgaria?
has
No,
been
no,
working
it was
to rid
Belgium.
itself of Russian
Guess who
influence
supports
ever
it?
since the outbreak of war in Ukraine.
Austria?
For instance, Le Monde reported in April 2023 that
Why
Lithuania's
Austria, you're
parliament
wondering?
passed a series
I
of
don't know.
amendments to its laws that placed extremely
I don't
tight
know.
sanctions
There's maybe
on
some new
any
developments.
Russians who might
I
attempt
guess
to claim
other countries
citizenship
also
in the
joined
country.
because this was a
Lasting
fairly
for
new
1
thing
year,
when I saw
those
it.
sanctions suspended
like
applications
Belgium-
for temporary resident permits and led to Lithuania outright
And then
refusing
Austria
to accept
supporting
any
it?
visa applications for Russian citizens,
Incredible.
except in the most
I
exceptional
don't
of
even know what to tell you.
Worse yet, for prospective Russian
Never
immigrants,
would have seen it coming.
Lithuania's new laws
Never would
also
have seen it
prevented them
coming.
from buying
Genuinely.
property in the country for at
Belgium.
least 1 year. So even
The
those
same
who
country
make it
that's
into
given
Lithuania
F-16s
may
to
discover
Ukraine,
that they
but
struggle
not
to find
allowing them
somewhere
to be
live.
used
This
on
isn't an
Russian
example of
territory.
Lithuania trying to remain neutral in a war that doesn't
Starts
affect
Article
it.
7?
Instead, this vote was a clear message from the country.
I mean,
that it
beautiful, and I
supports
support
Ukraine
it, and I
wholeheartedly.
cheer for
The
it.
immigration figures
But
prove
Belgium,
this, as Lithuania has accepted
magical.
75,000 Ukrainian
Magical,
refugees
incredible.
since the outbreak of war in February 2022, with 42,000 of those refugees having
A lot
received
of people
temporary
with Russian
residence
heritage in
permits that will
Baltics.
likely
Yeah,
last for
yeah,
as
no,
long as the war
definitely.
continues.
It's not about your
There's more.
heritage.
Beyond
It's not
restricting
about
Russian
your
citizens'
heritage
access to the
solely.
country, Lithuania has also
So
been
definitely,
working hard
and
to weed out
especially
what
in
it
the
sees as
situation
risks to its national security. In August 2023,
with the Baltics.
AP News reported that Lithuania declared a staggering
A lot of the times,
1,164
let's be
citizens
real,
of Russia
a lot
and
of the
Belarus
times,
as threats to the country's security, with that
people
declaration
didn't
being
really,
accompanied by the stripping
it was a lot of
permanent
mingling in
residencies
the
of
areas. It was a lot of mingling in the
1,164
areas.
individuals.
So I understand
The
that
inclusion of Belarusian citizens
shit like
in
that
these
was
numbers
completely
is
normal,
also
right?
interesting. In
It's
fact,
like
the
here, like
announcement applies more to
you have a
them
lot
than
of
Russian
Croats in my
citizens.
area having
910
Serb
of the
heritage.
1,164
I'm
are
part
Belarusian,
Serb. I don't
showing
even know
that
how much,
Lithuania
but I'm
isn't just
part Serb and I
focusing
have
on
entire
eliminating
family
Russian
in
influence
Serbia,
from
you
the
know?
country. It's also trying to
but
rid
it
itself of
doesn't
Russia's
mean
supporters.
shit
At the time of
in
writing
the
the script for
current
this video,
situation.
Lithuania is reaching the end of the
Your
initial year of
ancestry
sanctions
doesn't
mentioned
really mean
earlier.
that much.
The country's parliament is currently debating
Mm.
whether to extend the sanctions on citizenship and property ownership for a further year, having already rejected the restriction of free travel for Russians and Belarusians throughout Lithuania. Still, what we see here is a country that has drawn a clear line in the sand. Lithuania supports
No,
Ukraine.
definitely. That's why I was
That much is
surprised about
obvious from
Austria,
the fact that the
because
128
Austria
members
has
of the
been
country's parliament united in declaring Russia's actions in Ukraine
rather
a genocide,
negative
essentially labeling Russia as a terrorist
against
state in the
so many
process.
Eastern
It's
Europeans.
also obvious from how ready
right?
Lithuania has been to welcome
And now they
Ukrainian
push for
refugees,
Article
as
7.
well as from the level of financial
Genuinely
and military
surprised.
support it's provided to Kyiv.
Like,
In
genuinely
January
surprised.
2024,
I would have
Lithuania
never seen
announced
that,
it would be
that
sending
coming.
a further
Truly.
$214 million to Ukraine, accounting for a little under a tenth of the country's entire military budget for
Austria just
2024.
hating on
Lithuania
every East
supports
EU
Ukraine
country.
so strongly that it's actively punishing Russians who attempt to move to the
I
country.
think-
And it's not alone among the Baltic states,
I
as we can
think
see a similar opposition
that,
to Russian influence in Latvia. Like
There's
Lithuania,
countries that
Latvia is
deserve to be
imposing annual
hated.
visa
You know what I
restrictions
mean?
on Russian
There's
citizens
countries
who
that
attempt
deserve
to
to be
enter the
hated.
country. It extended
Hungary
those restrictions
being
in
one of
February
them.
2024,
So I'm
with the
actually,
country's
so
foreign
yeah,
ministry
I'm genuinely
announcing that
alright
Russians
with
won't be allowed in the country until March 2025,
Hungary being hated
unless
and
they
being
meet
discriminated
strict
against,
criteria.
and then having
Those
Article
criteria
7 pushed
include
on.
the ownership of an existing EU or Latvian residence permit, or that the Russian immigrant is a diplomatic
I'm
staff
living in an
member
island in
or the
Estonia
family
who got
of such a
invaded by
member.
some Spanish
Latvia
people.
has also
Darker-skinned
imposed
men and
sanctions
blonde
against
Estonian women
Russian
did some
citizens in the
sexing.
country, though it hasn't quite gone
And
to
now,
the
in
extent
hundreds of years
Lithuania.
later, some
For
people
instance,
on my island
April
have much
2023
darker skin and
brought with it
hair.
reports that the
Nice.
country
Oh,
implemented
nice.
sanctions
That's
against
interesting.
10
That's cool.
Russian
That's cool.
people
That's
who were
cool.
connected to the Kremlin sentencing
We have
of
that
a
with
human rights
Turks.
defender
When Turks
named
were
Vladimir
invading our lands,
Kara-Murza. Those 10 individuals received full travel
you
bans,
had a lot
with
of our
Latvia's
women
President Edgars
sleeping with
Rinkēvičs
Turkish
going on to
men.
encourage the EU
So you
to
do
place
have
similar
a lot of
restrictions
people
on the 10
here
people in
who
question.
are a bit darker,
Again, we see evidence of
and it's
resistance
because, you know,
against
a lot of
Russian
our women
influence
were
throughout the
sleeping with
country.
Turkish men.
And there's even
It's
more.
just that, like dark
In
hair and
February
everything is considered a
2024,
beauty standard
Latvia
because of
became
that.
the first EU member state
It's a
to
cool
impose
little
complete
thing,
ban
and
on
you see it very
agricultural
often in
products from Russia and Belarus.
Bosnia too,
That appears to be a
but in
response to
Serbia,
Russia
Serbia had
essentially using
much
the
more
Baltic
negative
states'
view
port
towards
infrastructure
them.
and grain
So for a
storage
while it was
capacity
genuinely a
as hub for
discriminatory
its
thing.
farming activity. Latvia clearly wants
Many
no part
Ukrainian
in helping
patriots still
Russian
speak
farmers profit
Russian.
from their
Yeah,
products. With Latvia's decision
I'm
meaning
alright
it will miss out on around 300 million euros
about
of Russian
people
imports
who
annually
spoke
until the ban is
Russian
lifted.
all the
There's
time,
evidence
still
that
speaking
Latvia
Russian.
is trying to erase Russian culture from the country.
Personally,
Starting
I
with the
still can't
2026-27 school
respect
year,
the
Latvian
nation
schools
or
will
the
stop
language.
teaching Russian as a
But,
second language.
you know,
with the schools instead
I ain't
asked to
gonna be a
choose from
piece
one
of
the
shit
other
telling
official
people that
languages of
they're
the
not
EU.
Ukrainian
So Latvia
enough
is in the
if they
de-Russification
speak
game
Russian.
for the
I
long
think that
term.
would be a
By
horrible thing to
eradicating
do.
Russian in schools,
The
it will create a
languages
whole
were
generation
mixed
of Latvians
up
who don't
in
speak the
usage
language and thus
for a very
can't
long
or won't
time,
work alongside
and I
the
don't
Russian
think
population in the
anyone has
country.
the right
And that's
to
a large
force you
population. About
to abandon
25%
a
of
language
Latvia's
that you have
population
been
of
using
1.8
all of
million
this
are
time
ethnic Russians, with the move to
just
ban
because
Russian from
the
schools
country
sending a clear message to
is
those
currently a
existing
piece of shit.
citizens, you
And
are
has been a
welcome
piece of
and
shit
your
previously,
culture
let's
is
be
being
real about
phased
this.
out.
Russia really never
Like
changed.
Lithuania,
But
Latvia
still,
has
I
also
don't think
come
it
out
would
in
be fair to
staunch support
force
of Ukraine
people
during
to
the
be,
war. It
you
joined
know,
its fellow Baltic nations in
switching
declaring
a
President Vladimir
language
Putin's invasion a
to
genocide,
be Ukrainian enough.
again meaning that Latvia is essentially treating Russia
Mm.
as a terrorist state. And like
How else would I
Lithuania,
roast
Latvia
Russians in this
regularly
chat?
sends
True.
military and financial aid to Ukraine.
Look,
January
the way that I view
2024
it,
saw Latvian President
Russian
Rinkēvičs announce a new military aid
is
package
just
that he said would include howitzers,
a messed up
155mm
dialect
ammunition,
of
anti-tank
Ukrainian.
weapons, rockets, grenades,
Alright,
helicopters,
that's the way I
drones,
do it. I'm from
communication
Balkans.
devices,
I'm a master
generators,
at
as well
this.
as other equipment.
Alright, the fights
pretty
about
strong commitment, maybe even
Croats
stronger,
being
by Latvia's
Catholic
decision to commit
Serbs
1%
and
of its
Serbs
GDP
being
to supporting
Orthodox
Ukraine.
Croats.
So Russia is
It's
0 for
been
2
a
in
fight
terms
for
of
a very,
engendering
very
any sort
long
of support
time,
for
and
its
I'm just
special
applying
military
the
operation
same
from the Baltic
to
states.
the
And the
conversation
situation
about
doesn't
Russian
get much
language,
better for
right?
Putin and the Kremlin when
Russian
we turn our
is
attention
just a
to
messed up
Estonia.
dialect of
In
Ukrainian.
September 2022,
It's just a
Estonia
messed up
banned
dialect.
entry into the
People want to
country
speak
for
their little
all
messed up
Russian
dialect.
visa holders who wish to visit for
I ain't
purposes
going to be
related
the
to
one to
sports,
tell them
tourism,
to
culture,
stop.
or simply to visit family
You
and
want to
friends.
speak this
It
little
went a step even
mumbo
further.
jumbo? You do
Russians
that.
aren't
You
allowed
do
to
that.
enter
That's your
Estonia,
choice,
even
all
if
right?
they're only
I
passing
can't
through
hate you
on
for
their
it.
way to another country. These restrictions are also in place in Latvia and Lithuania,
Hungarians
as well as
voted
Poland,
for the
adding
shittiest
to those
politicians they
countries'
can, but it's
restrictions
a
on Russian
phase.
citizens claiming
And they'll
residence.
vote for a different
The move
party
cut
in a
off
few
Russian
years.
access to the
Yeah,
Schengen zone, which is
here's
the
the
world's
thing. killing.
largest free travel region.
The
Created
phase
through a joint effort by France,
is
Belgium,
killing
Germany,
Ukrainians.
Luxembourg and the Netherlands,
The
zone hosts
phase
420
is putting
million
us into
people
the
from 27
situation
countries, 23 of
where
which are members of the
Hungary
EU.
is
Now,
weakening
Russian
NATO
citizens can't pass
itself,
through that zone,
weakening
regardless of their
European
visa
Union
status or
itself,
whether they have a
and
passport,
making
which
us
further
all
restricts Russian
be in
movement
greater
throughout
danger.
Europe. All thanks to Estonia.
I
We're
don't
also seeing
particularly
similar
care
steps to
if
those
it's
Latvia
just
is
a
taking
phase.
in terms of eliminating Russian
I want
culture
them
from
out.
Estonia altogether.
I want them
For
out. They're
instance, in
endangering us,
2023,
and I
Hype
don't
and
think
Hyper
we
interviewed
should
Andrei
be
Makarevich, a Russian
allowing
professor
them
who lives in Estonia,
to do this
who
shit to
highlighted
us,
several changes
just to
he's seen
hope
since
that in
the
a
war with
few
Ukraine
years they're
began.
going to change.
These changes include
I
Estonia
think we
ending
should
the
take away their
availability of
voting
Russian
rights,
radio and television
and then we
programs,
should be
essentially
using
ostracizing the Russian members of its
everything we can
population
that
from the
is
mainstream
now
entertainment
available
sector.
to us,
Makarev
including
also
European Union
highlights how
policies
attitudes
towards
towards
Ukraine that
Russians have
Hungary
changed
is
since
always
February
fucking
2022.
blocking.
He points out that
I
the
think we should go
Estonian
balls deep on
Russian-speaking
all of
community
those
was afraid
to
be
ensure
accused
that
of
we
being
can help
Russians
as
because
much
when they
as we
realized what
can.
Russia did with
If
Ukraine, they just
Hungarians
saw
want
huge
to
negative
go
feelings about Russia
ballistic
that might be
in their
projected
little
onto them.
country
A
of
strange
Hungary,
in-between
they can
situation
do that.
arose, according to
All right,
Makarev.
I don't
Though
give a
many
shit.
Russians in Estonia outwardly
But if
wanted
we
to
need
show
to
that
bring
what
the
Russia did had nothing
entirety
to
of
do with
European
them, he
Union and
claims many
entirety
still
of
support
NATO in
Russia's foreign
danger,
policies behind closed
just to
doors.
hope that in
That
few
leads to
years
division,
Hungarians are going to
both
become
between
more
native
normal,
Estonians and
I'm
Russians
not
and within
up
the
for
Russian
this
community living in Estonia. The de-Russification
exchange.
keeps coming.
I'm
In
not
February
up for risking this.
2023, Estonia's
Alright, the
government
situation
tabled a
is
proposal
extremely
to unfreeze
dangerous.
about $21
If Russia
million
wins
of
in
Russian
Ukraine,
assets in the
Orban
country,
is
so the
going
money
to
could be
sell
used
his
to support
ass to
Ukraine.
Russia in a
And speaking of
second.
support, Estonia
He
has
will
been
not
just
be
as
thinking
ready to
about this.
send aid
Orban
to
is selling
Ukraine
his
as
ass in a
Latvia and
second.
Lithuania
You know what
throughout the
happens
war.
when Orban sells
Assuming
his
it
ass to
follows through
Russia?
on its plans,
What
Estonia will have
happens
provided
is
$1.29
Croatia is
billion
fucking
in
surrounded.
military and citizen
What
aid to
happens
Ukraine
is we
by
got
the end of
Hungary
2027.
and we got Serbia and then
it's
we got
also
Dodik
joined
down
Latvia
in
and
Republika
Lithuania
Srpska.
in calling Russia's invasion a genocide.
What happens
Russia
is
can see all
we
of this
are
happening,
fucked in
and
the
it isn't
ass.
happy
And I'm
about
not
it.
willing
In
to
February
put Croatia
2024, it's announced
into
that it
another
placed
war,
several Baltic
into the
states
danger of
officials
another
on a
war,
wanted list for
just to
destroying
hope that
monuments to
Hungarians
Soviet
as a
soldiers
nation are
within
going to
their
become
borders.
more normal in
These
a few
officials
years.
include Kaja Kallas, Estonia's prime minister,
No,
and the
Orban
Lithuanian culture
is
minister,
spreading
Simonas
his
Keres.
ass
However,
cheeks
this seems
the
to be a hollow threat.
second
Though Russia has
Putin
called
comes
the
to the
vague notion
border.
of destroying
Alright, the
monuments a crime against the
second
memory of the world's
Putin
liberators
goes,
from Nazism
guys,
and
we're putting
fascism,
Russian
it hasn't
military on
mentioned
all
what
Ukrainian
charges, if
borders
any, those
so
on
we
its
can
wanted list would
secure
face.
our newly
Furthermore,
acquired
Russia
state.
has responded to the
Orban
Baltic states' travel
immediately
bans with bans
traveling
of its
there
own.
in
March
his
24
personal
saw the country deny
limousine
entry to
to
347
spread his
Baltic
ass
citizens,
cheeks in
many
front
of
of
whom are
Putin.
high-ranking officials or were
Immediately. He
formerly
will not
officials
stay a
in their home
second.
countries, citing
And yeah,
hostile
I ain't
policy as the
willing
reason.
to see
It's attempting to
Croatia
fight fire with
getting
fire.
into that
But the
danger.
reality is that
I'm not
Moscow
willing
has
to
to
lead
look
the
at a trio
troops,
of
my dude. I'm
countries
talking to you
that are
about
among the
avoiding
most
the war
vocal
in the
the
first
world
place.
when it comes to
Croats
condemning
wanted to
Russia's
avoid the
actions in
war.
Ukraine.
We've been in a
The
war
Baltic
30
states
years
are
ago.
de-Russifying at a rapid
We
pace,
don't want
which
another
brings us
war.
back to the question that opened this
And
video.
we're going to be in a
Why?
great danger of
The
another
answer,
war
at least
if we
partially,
keep the
lies in the history
traitors
the
to our
Baltic countries
countries
have with Russia.
having
The
voting
memory of
power
Soviet
and
oppression is still
destabilizing
fresh
the
in the minds
entirety of
many in
Europe.
Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. It's only been 34 years since those countries were able to reclaim the independence that was taken away from them in the early 1940s, and there are still many in all three countries that can remember what life was
Kicking them
like
out of
under
NATO or
Russian
EU will
rule.
create a long-term
Those
Russian ally.
scars
I don't
are
give a
still
shit.
fresh for many in the Baltic states.
They want
And
to
it's the
be a
freshness of
Russian
those
ally,
scars
they
that
can
brings
be
us to
a
the main
Russian
reason
ally.
for de-Russification.
Alright, as
None
long
of
as
the
we
three
don't give them
wanted to happen
power
again.
in our
The Baltic states have
institutions,
been warning the
the
rest of
fact that
Europe
they
about
are a a Russian
and its
ally
intentions
means
long
nothing.
before Putin decided to invade Ukraine.
Serbia has
Sky
been a
News
Russian
reports that
ally
2
for
decades of
years.
warnings have gone ignored
How
by
much
NATO.
power does
The rest of
Serbia
Europe
have
was
in
more
our
focused on the
institutions?
conflicts in Iraq and
None.
Afghanistan than they were on the developing
None.
situation
Alright?
between Russia and
Them
Ukraine
being a
in the
Russian
2000s
ally
and 2010s.
means
This period
absolutely
also saw many
nothing.
countries in Europe,
As long as
including Great
countries
Britain,
around
reducing
them
their stockpile
are
of weapons
protected,
that were seen
and as long as
holdovers of the
neighbors of
Cold
Russia
War.
are
Sky
protected, so
says that
Russia
the UK
can't
in
go and
particular
invade them,
decommissioned tanks
it
and
means
reduced its
nothing.
stockpiles of ammo and artillery following the Soviet Union's collapse under the mistaken belief that the threat of a conventional war
we
in
can
Europe no longer
absolutely
existed.
keep
Even
both
Russia's
Romania
invasion
and
capture of
Bulgaria
Crimea, a precursor to
in
the
a
conflict
stable
we see
position
now, didn't do
without
enough to
needing
convince the rest of
Hungary
Europe
in
that
European
Putin
Union.
presented a clear danger to Europe.
Not
All
to
the
mention
while,
that
the Baltic
Hungary
states
being
were
in
sounding
European
alarms
Union
that were
and
going
selling itself
unheard,
to Russia
resulting in the
is
rest of Europe being
directly a
shocked by
danger to
Russia's
both of
decision
these.
to invade Ukraine. At least that's the opinion of
Like,
Radoslav
what are you
Sikorski.
talking about?
As
Moldova
former
is
Polish
literally
Foreign Minister,
next
he spoke
after
to
Ukraine.
Politico about the warnings that Poland and the Baltic states tried to issue
They are
to NATO
already
over the 20
destabilizing
years
Moldova.
before Russia's
Moldova
invasion.
is next
He
after
notes that the
Ukraine.
nations to the east, those that border Russia or are close to it, ran into brick walls whenever they pled with NATO for increased troop deployments in their territory.
Like, I would love to hear the
Sikorski
opinion
notes
of
that they were all
Romanians.
ignored
I
when
would
they started
love to
drawing
hear the
attention
opinion
to
of
Russia's campaign
Romanians
of cyber
on how
attacks.
much they're willing to
Sometimes Sikorski took
sacrifice
things further,
Moldova
such as when he compared the 2006 Nord Stream
for
gas
fucking
pipeline
Hungary
project
and
between Russia
Orban.
and Germany to the
I would just
1939
love to hear that. I would
Molotov-Ribbentrop
love
Pact
to
that
hear
divided
them
his
say,
country
hey, you know
between the
what?
Soviet Union and the
Moldova,
Nazis.
yeah, fuck that
Sikorski may
country
have
in the
gone a little
ass
too
because
far
I
with
just,
that
I love
comparison,
Hungary
but the
so much in
sentiment was
NATO.
clear.
I
Europe
love
was
Hungary in
ignoring the
European
growing
Union
Russian
so
threat.
much.
The Western
And then
Europeans poo-pooed and
subverting
patronized
all
us
of
for
our
30 years,
attempts
he
to
told
save
Politico.
ourselves,
They were
I would be
patronizing us
willing
about
to
our attitude.
sacrifice
Oh, you know,
Moldovans.
you over-nervous, oversensitive Central
I would
Europeans
love
are
to hear that.
prejudiced
It's
against
not a
Russia.
straw
But
man.
perhaps that wasn't
I'm
the
telling
case.
you, Hungary is
Rather
more
than Poland and the
damaging than it's
Baltics
worth.
being prejudiced against Russia,
It
they were
needs to
instead
have its
issuing
voting rights
warnings
taken away.
because they understood Russia better than any other countries in Europe. All have been subject to the country's
Kazakhstan NATO
territorial
CSTO and
claims,
Eurasian
especially
Economic
during the
Union,
Soviet
but it's still
Union
far
era,
away. Yeah,
and
for
perhaps they
Kazakhstan,
saw
oh, the
something in
situation is
Putin's
massive for
policies that
Kazakhstan.
nobody else did.
The
Now they're in a
situation is
position
messy,
where they
messy.
can say, "We told you so," to the rest
When it
of
comes to
Europe
this
and by extension
situation
NATO. And it's
here,
not like
to
these warnings were
countries which
unfounded.
can
In
get
2007,
into
Estonia's
European
computer servers were
Union,
hit with
like
a
when you look
massive
at Ukraine and when you
distributed
look at
denial of
Georgia, when you
service
look at
or
Moldova,
DDoS attack
you know,
that shut down private and public
we
websites
can
in
keep
the
them
country.
stable.
Estonia was essentially shut down for several
We
weeks,
can
with
keep
that
them
shutdown
stable.
leading to the deployment of around 1 million
But man,
zombie computers that could help the attackers spy on Estonia's computing
I
network.
don't even know
Estonia
what
was
Italia.
convinced
Yeah, I
that
don't even know
Russia
what Italia.
organized the attacks. But just as Sikorski
Hungary out
says,
Ukrainian
they were
based.
met with
Hungary
patronizing
being in
comments
the
by the
EU,
rest of
meaning
Europe.
death of no.
As
No.
according to Thomas Hendrik Evers,
Russia winning
Estonia's
in
president at
Ukraine
the time, who
means
claims that the
invasion of
country's
Moldova.
NATO allies told him that he didn't know what he was talking about and that he was simply being
And Hungary
Russophobic.
being in
But
the
reality
European
seems to
Union
be that these
is how
countries
we
were
get
seeing
closer
and
to Russia
reporting
winning in
Russian
Ukraine.
warning shots, with their reports ultimately
It's not
falling on
insane
deaf
mental
ears.
gymnastics.
It was
What
only when
has
Russia
Hungary
took
been
the more
doing all of this
direct
time?
action of
What
invading
has
an
it been
entire
calling for?
country that Europe and NATO
It is
started
against
to pay
arming
attention.
Ukraine.
The
It is
Baltic
against
states
financially
hope
helping
that both
Ukraine.
now have changed attitudes.
It was against getting
That's because
Finland
they see
and
the
Sweden
risk
into
that comes with a
NATO,
Russian
therefore
victory in Ukraine.
against
Should
defending
Putin
the Baltic
succeed, they
states.
believe the odds are high that he's
Hungary
going to
knows
turn his
exactly what it's
attention to
doing.
them. After all,
Hungary
Lithuania,
itself, you have
Latvia, and
Orban
Estonia
himself
have all been
saying
Russian
that he
territory
wants
before.
out of NATO
To the
and
Baltic
out of
countries,
European
their
Union.
efforts to de-Russify send a clear message to Putin that they don't want anything to do with him, Russia, or his efforts to
Man,
strengthen his
I
own
don't know if you
country.
understand. I don't
But they
care about
also
their
send a
people being
message to the
radicalized.
Baltics allies. We warned you about this before.
I
Do
don't
something
care
about
about their
Russia
people
now,
being
or we
radicalized.
and the rest of Europe
I
by
care
extension
about
may face
Hungary
even
being
bigger
damaging
problems
to
in the
European
future.
Union and NATO itself.
Pro-Russian parties
I
in
don't
these
care
three
about their
states are now
nation being
practically obsolete.
radicalized.
All three are determined to keep
I
Russians
care about
out and
taking
showcase
away
their support
their
for
power.
Ukraine.
They
To
are
the Baltics,
radicalized
the
right
results of the
now.
war in Ukraine
And right
doesn't
now
solely
they have the
affect
power to
Ukraine,
be
it
damaging
affects
our
them.
institutions.
And if the result doesn't go
We
their
take
way,
away the
they could be
power,
next in
they
Moscow's
can't be
firing
damaging
line.
to our institutions
What
anymore.
do you think about the Baltic states and their de-Russification? Is it a justified response to Russia's
No,
actions?
Orban was
that not only
absolutely
signals the
threatening
Baltic
with
states' desire
leaving
to stay
European Union.
independent, but also
Absolutely.
highlights how much of a threat Russia
European
poses
Union
to the three
and NATO
countries
both.
it used to rule? Or are the Baltic states making a huge fuss about nothing? As
As
NATO
long
and
as
the
Hungary is
EU
in
seem to
EU,
believe
it will be at
before
most
the
a
Ukraine
soft ally of
crisis,
Russia.
and that Putin will stop once he has
By
Ukraine.
blocking
Tell us your thoughts in
aid
the comment section, and thank
to
you for watching the
Ukraine,
video. Now go and check out
by ensuring
why Russia
Russian
will lose
military
Kaliningrad,
successes on the
or
ground in
click this other
Ukraine.
video
You You think they're being just a soft ally of Russia? Is that what it is? That's what a soft ally is. Oh yeah, they're so harmless right now. Dude, Hungary is literally like next to Ukraine. If they didn't take in any Ukrainian refugees, that would have been surprising. Alright, the fact that a country so close to Ukraine is taking in Ukrainian refugees is not surprising in the first place. The fact that they are spreading around Russian propaganda while voting against every and all resolutions intended to help Ukraine is what's the problem. The annexation of Transnistria will be easier than with Crimea. They're going to go for Moldova itself. It is the entirety of the country. They already tried to subvert their elections. They already did pay the protesters last time that Moldova had protests against the government. Russia is taking the country. And then we got issues with Georgia. I don't know if you've been following the situation in Georgia. The Russian law in Georgia has been signed into power. And it was yesterday or the day before They followed the Russian path in declaring LGBT organizations extremist. That's what they did. So yes, Georgia itself is also getting fucked. Anyone we don't really get into our institutions is at the danger of being invaded by Russia. No, it's not a soft ally if it's directly harmful to the institutions it is in, while directly helping Russia get military gains on ground in their invasion. Kick Hungary out of European Union, allow Kosovo in. Talking about that, I have a good observation that was brought to me by some Serbs I saw online. Saved it in bookmarks. I saved it in bookmarks because I wanted to mention it on chat so much, but I saved a lot of shit in bookmarks. You remember Vucic crying with the Serbian flag? You remember that when it was the UN conversation about Srebrenica and he had the Serbian flag and he was crying and he was like tromping on it a little bit? You remember that? You remember the little spectacle? It so happens that Serbs kinda don't. There was a huge media campaign about it for a few days and then it just stopped. Why did it stop? You're asking. Why did it fucking stop? It's because Kosovo, at the time, got into the Parliamentary Assembly of NATO. Parliamentary Assembly, she goes. What's PSA? PSA NATO. Yeah, it is Parliamentary Assembly. Nice. I actually said it properly. I translated it properly because it says PSA here. I clicked on this to remind myself. That's what was the problem. All the time, that's what was the problem. The whole spectacle thing, it was to hide the fact that Kosovo has gotten more recognition. And now that this is gone, and now that this is an older piece of information, and I was gonna go back to look it up, now Serbs have just forgotten about Srebrenica. No one's even talking about this. They had elections. Did you know they had elections? They had elections this weekend. No one was even talking about it. So, yeah, fun little fact, I guess. But they're losing Kosovo more and more. Georgia has good wine. Georgia does. Does, absolutely. They can speed the process of letting them join the union. Moldova is undergoing the process. The problem with speeding it up is that you're gonna get a lot of Western European Union members being against the process, and you get them bitching about it, and when you get them bitching about it, we have less likelihood of having cohesion within European Union. What we want to do is have at least the illusion of equality of all states. Even though there's not really equality. Like, I don't know if you remember, but we looked at Croatia, for example. Croatia still hasn't solved the issues with the courts. Our courts are still deeply corrupted. We are on the path of solving the issue, but we didn't solve it. We barely did anything about it, really. We did a few small changes, and that was that. Another fun fact. You remember how we talked about corruption in Croatia? And that we had a politician who was known for corruption, but we didn't do shit. So when she got arrested for it is only when European Union joined the game and forced us to be arresting corrupt politicians. Remember that? Fun fact. Recent case in Croatia. Did you know that European Union is currently creating a database of all missing persons on the area of European Union? Because now, maybe in your country it was introduced a bit sooner. In Croatia, it started relatively recently. So the idea is that all missing persons in European Union get put into a system together. So in case, they are found in another European Union member state, it's very easy to locate them. So what happened is European Union goes, hey Croatia, we need your information, we need the DNA samples on unidentified bodies that you have, and we need your information on missing persons, their DNA samples if you have something on them, dental records, shit like that. So just in case that they have shown up in another European Union country, we can, know about it. It would be a good thing to know, right? Correct? Correct. There has been a missing persons case in Croatia. 13 years ago, a man went missing. There was a huge search at the time because the man, he was a rather popular person in the area. He was doing a lot of dancing, he was a break dancer, stuff like that. So he was very, very popular, and it was like in all the newspapers, all the news, everything. For 13 years, no one knew shit about this man. You know where he was all the time? He was a few minutes drive away from home in a morgue. His body was found few days after he went missing. No one checked the DNA. They just found the body and they put it in a freezer, and it has been there for 13 years. No one looked at it. And now European Union comes into play and is like, hey, can we get all the DNA information? Solved. Missing persons case going on for 13 fucking years. His parents had the remembrance date and anniversaries of his missing every once in a while to remind people that if they have some information to let them know. And all of this time, for 13 years, he's been just a few minutes away from home in a morgue, locked up in a freezer, and everyone forgot about him. Fucking genius. Just genius. Incredible. We are fucked up as a country overall. China is future hegemon. I read a text to explain why it's not, but it will take a bit more than this whole chat. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Definitely. Make sure to tag the person so they know to respond to your ideas. But yeah, absolutely. Croatian ambassador. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Stalin liked to do experiments like crossbreeding North Koreans with Jewish. Oh, I've heard about that. It is.
This video was brought.
Wait, what did I want to show you? Hey, I have a video on European Union. I'm trying to pause all of them. I have a video on European Union overall. Where's my European politics? We're talking. Is Croatia not a European country? Is Croatia not a European country? When you say European politics, are you not including me? Because that is heartbreaking. We happen to be Europeans. Just because we are surrounded by chaos on the east, doesn't matter that doesn't mean that we are not Europeans. Yeah, also go vote. I got my family to vote. I didn't even know that they're not going to be voting. I reminded my mother yesterday. I was like, hey, voting this Sunday, don't forget. And she goes, oh yeah, I'm not going to vote. And I'm like, what? What? And she did, yeah, I'm not going to vote. Like, it doesn't matter who I vote for. What? So yeah, basically we looked through the candidates and she's going to be voting. She knows exactly who she's going to be voting for. I can attest it's a good option to be voting for too. So yeah, overall GG. Also, we can't vote online and we can't vote by post. I don't know how it is there, but I checked. Yeah, no voting online and no voting by post. There's not an option for that at all. You're voting tomorrow? We have it on Sundays. I think the reason we have it on Sunday specifically this time is because last time we had voting for our elections, it was on a Wednesday, and there was chaos in the country because it was on a Wednesday, and like voting days are supposed to be non-working days, but it was Wednesday, so firms didn't really want to close on a Wednesday. So it created a situation where no one really knew whether they were working or not, because it was a non-working day, but it was also a working day because no firms didn't want to not work. I worked, for example, I worked a normal shift. But yeah, I think this time they just went safe with it and they were like, let's just do it on a Sunday. So we're chilling. They're all the same might be one of the most infuriating phrases. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Especially, and you know what's the dumbest thing? You know what's the dumbest thing? Is that she goes, I'm not gonna vote. They're all the same, so I'm not voting, right? And I'm like, all right, mother, let's look into the candidates. Do you even know who's in European Parliament right now for Croatia? And she's like, yeah, I know actually. I know there's Biljana Borzan in it, and I know she did a lot of good work for Croatia and Eastern Europe overall. And I'm like, all right, you do know she's a candidate for this year too, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, why don't you vote for her then? She's like, oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Like, you like the candidate? She's an alright candidate for this year too. She actually did do a lot of work. What do you mean they're all the same? Like, you know they're not. So what's the thing? You're just telling yourself not to go to vote for a reason that you don't even believe in. How does that make any sense? So yeah, then yeah, she's going to vote. And she knew the candidate. She fucking knew the candidate. Because she likes that woman. I don't know. Forbidden to buy alcohol on vote day in Croatia? What, really? I don't know that. Are we gonna do the thing like in Ireland, where on religious days they cover up alcohol in stores? Because like you're not supposed to be buying alcohol on these days. Oh my man, it's my favorite thing whenever a relative goes in Ireland to work for a while and then they are there for like, let's say, Eastern holidays and they want to buy a bunch of alcohol to get blackout drunk. Because that's what we do in Croatia, right? You have holidays in a row, you have 3 days in a row, you get drunk as shit. You're getting drunk, my dude. You're not going to church. Fuck the church. If you do go to church, if you are one of those ultra-religious people, you go to church hungover. Alright? But you don't fucking celebrate with prayers and bullshit. You celebrate with beer. We get specific beer for holidays. The Christmas beer, who drinks special edition beer? They were stronger this year. They were stronger. I specifically bought few beers. I think Ožujsko was the first one I noticed. It was stronger. It wasn't usually stronger. What they did usually was just putting it in a different can, which is like Christmassy. No, this one was stronger. It had more alcohol in it. So that was cool. But yeah, they go to Ireland and they want to do the same thing, but you can't buy alcohol because it's, it's religious days. You can't be buying alcohol on it. They just cover it up and that's that. You can only buy proper things that you actually need for a living. Don't want everyone to go vote? I think... You know what I think? I think there's a lot of politicians, Borzan being one of them, that are mainstream but acceptable. And I think that if you get the majority of people to go vote, they will vote for these types of people, right? That's the way I see it. Like they would vote for these mainstream, acceptable politicians. I don't think most of the population would be voting for people on the fringes of society. And then, I think compulsory voting might have actually been alright, because I do think normal politicians doing something would have been getting more votes, getting more voted in. Because otherwise what you have is these politicians on fringes having a very active voting body. They don't do shit. They don't do anything useful to your country. but they have a very active voting body, and because they have a very active voting body, they're always going to be getting a certain tiny percentage of votes. That's how we got Sinčić into the parliament recently. Sinčić is in the parliament because we had a very low turnout at the last European Union Parliament elections. So the amount of 18-year-olds that voted for that little piece of shit was high enough to get him into the parliament. If we had a normal turnout, people like him usually get left behind. Like he's been trying to be the president for a while. He never gets close to enough votes because no one wants to vote for that little weirdo. But when it comes to like low turnout situations, then his voters actually do make up a percentage enough for him to get some sort of a power. So yeah, I think compulsory voting in that situation, I genuinely think it would have been all right. Information space with social media has broken people's brains. Most voters should not be allowed to vote. I do think most are not educated enough on the importance of voting, but I genuinely think most will just be voting for mainstream politicians who are, I think, acceptable. I really think it would be better if we had a bigger turnout, because I think most votes would be going to basic parties in the first place. Hey yo, I'm doing great. We're watching a video on European Union. Starting now, apparently.
What factors are driving its decline, and can it find a way to survive in an increasingly unstable world? From skyrocketing energy prices and economic stagnation to the rise of violent right-wing movements and geopolitical entanglements,
Zero idea what the EU is or does.
Facing an
You know what I think?
array of challenges. How did it come to this point? And what does the future hold for Europe's political and economic landscape?
With
In this
compulsory
episode,
voting,
we'll
but I
delve into
do
the
think
complex
we
web of
should
issues
introduce
threatening the very foundation of the EU and explore the potential path
education
forward.
on politics
Stay
in
tuned to
elementary
uncover the
schools,
full story
because I
behind
do
Europe's looming
agree
crisis.
that
Now let's find
people
out
will
whether the
have
EU is
no
doomed or
idea
not and what's the
what
reason
European
behind it.
Union is or what it
As the
does
EU
or how
enters
it
a
works in
period
the
of
first
decline,
place.
recent statistics
So I
depict a
do think
troubling
that we should
scenario.
introduce it into
Average
school, to be
citizens,
honest. I think it shouldn't be a
particularly
thing that
children,
is
are
optional to be
increasingly
educated about.
experiencing poverty,
And right now
social
it's kind of
exclusion,
optional.
and
You know,
material
it's not really
deprivation.
something that you get educated
Over
about
half
in
of the
school. It's just,
population with disabilities,
if you look it up in your
54%,
free time,
struggles to make ends meet,
then you
with
know enough about it.
43% of
But if you don't look it
able-bodied
up in your free time,
individuals
then you know,
facing similar challenges.
kind of dumbass.
2 decades of stagnant GDP growth and wages
At least
that have
fourth
barely
grade of school
rebounded
in order
post-COVID are
to vote.
compounded by inflation
I mean,
driven
yeah,
by
that's kind of,
corporate greed
isn't it
between
compulsory to get
2021 and
elementary school years?
2023. Energy prices have skyrocketed by 63%, exacerbating
If you don't
the
think
effects
that
of
to understand the core
deindustrialization,
basics,
which
then
has
just
led
stay
to
home and watch
unemployment
TikTok.
rates as
I
high
think
as
it would be
20% and
hard
reduced the
to write a law
manufacturing
about
sector's
it.
contribution to the
Like, I
EU
do
economy
understand
to just
the
16%.
drive
This has
behind
left many
it.
communities in a state reminiscent of the US
And it is
Rust
an
Belt.
idea I would even be
Meanwhile, a
alright
rising
to
and
it,
violent right-wing
but it
movement
would be
is gaining
really hard
power.
to put it
The
in law.
Russia-Ukraine war rages
Really
on
hard
Europe's
to put
borders,
it in law.
and the EU, often acting as AUS.
Europe's refugee problem.
Vassal continues to
I
support
support
Israel's actions against
having
the Palestinian
more
people.
arrival
short,
centers
Europe is in
open.
crisis.
I do support some of them
Post-World
being
War II,
open in
European countries faced the
third
daunting task
countries,
of
so not
rebuilding
European
shattered
Union
infrastructure
members,
and
but
stabilizing volatile
countries
currencies,
allied
teetering
with
on
the
the brink
European
of
Union.
economic collapse.
I
revival
support
of Europe's
the
economy was
idea that
significantly
all
aided by the
European Union
United
member
States through
states
two
should
main
be
initiatives.
sharing
The first was the Bretton Woods
people
Agreement,
who get the
which
asylum.
established a fixed exchange rate system
So
anchored to the
every country should
US
have
dollar,
a set
fostering
number on the
business
amount of
confidence and
refugees
cross-border trade.
that they have to
The
take
second
in,
was the
so
Marshall
we can
Plan,
all
formerly
carry the
known
weight,
as the
and so you
European
don't have like
Recovery
just
Program,
specific countries
promoted by
carrying
President
it.
Truman and passed by Congress.
And yeah,
This program
overall,
injected $13.3 billion,
I think
equivalent
that
to $173 billion
I think
today,
we will be
into
able
European
to
nations to rebuild
solve it
factories,
if we work
improve
together.
transportation networks, and revitalize industrial production.
Of course, fixing the
While
issue
this
of
substantial financial support was critical for
why
reconstruction,
the
it
refugee
forced
problem
European
happens in the
nations to
first place
relinquish
would also be
considerable
rather
control over their monetary policies
smart,
to the United States.
but it would
This
require
dependence on the
greater
US dollar prevented them from adjusting to market
geopolitical
changes,
moves
such as
that I
devaluing
don't
their
think a lot of our
currencies
countries are ready to
stimulate
make.
economic growth.
had education in Swedish politics, had to debate for a party in 7th grade. Oh, nice! I never had debate classes, and I never had classes on Croatian politics specifically. Like, we do have classes on history of Croatia, and then you go a little bit into Croatian history, but we never had actual classes on how Croatian politics is going right now. So that kind of sucks, to be honest. Turkey joining European Union. I see Turkey as a bit ambiguous currently. I see Turkey as a bit ambiguous of a country. At this point, seen some reports recently about them flirting with CSTO. BRICS. Was it with BRICS? Basically, I've seen them flirting with Russians. So what I want to say is that I see them as rather
France, Belgium, West Germany, the Netherlands, Greece, Switzerland, and Sweden
sitting on two chairs. And I'm not really a big supporter of someone like that getting into European Union. In the same way, I'm not a big supporter of countries like that having voting rights inside European Union, which is why I would take them away from Hungary. I don't think that we should allow Turkey into European Union. I do think it's a very valuable ally, though. So I would love to get it into European Union, to be honest. I would love to, if they would be ready to change their policies and their foreign policy approach specifically.
The most infamous incident
the oppression was one of the reasons why I think they should change their foreign policy approach. I think it's also a reason why Turkey doesn't really want to join European Union. I don't think they're willing to fix their issues on the, eastern borders. I don't really think Turkey is willing to help fix the situation. Like, they kind of benefit from being a NATO ally, but I don't really think they want to be fixing their problems.
From the government, despite their popularity in the 1946 elections.
They're failing almost every benchmark. Yeah, I think they kind of gave it up in a way, didn't they? They had a chance for a while, and then they just gave it up fully.
One of the most glaring examples of the EU's subservience to the US is its ongoing support for Israel and its actions against the Palestinian
people. We'll make sure they never join EU.
Many EU nations have provided funding and support to Israel since its founding. Recently, the EU has been aiding Israel through funding programs
it's not really helping
Horizon
with the
Europe,
fact
that Turkey is trying to
111 billion euros in grants through 2027.
subvert
While it is unclear if the entire
NATO
sum is directed
institutions
towards
too.
Israel, any support
It's like
is
being
troubling.
rather interesting on
Between
Finland and
2014
Sweden entering NATO, right?
1,600 Israeli
I don't really
research
think
and
it's
innovation
helping
projects received
to
EU
get them on a
funding.
path to be
Germany,
put into
for
European
instance,
Union.
was the
Talking
second
about that,
largest
did you know
exporter of
Milanovic,
arms to
our
Israel
president,
in
did you know he also
2023,
wanted to
amounting to
block
353
Finland from
million
entering
euros,
NATO?
implicating Germany in Israel's
He wanted to
war
block
crimes
Finland.
and
You know
ongoing
why?
genocide of the Palestinians.
Because of the way that the voting system is set up
Russia-Ukraine war has
in
further
Bosnia.
destabilized the EU's energy security.
The idea was,
The
I'm gonna
EU's
block
heavy
Finland
reliance
from
on Russian
entering
energy
NATO
imports,
because
particularly
I don't
natural
like the
gas,
voting
became
system
a
in
critical
Bosnia and
issue
Herzegovina.
once the war began. Before the war, in 2020,
And he
over
threatened it for a
85%
while,
of the EU's
and
gas
then what
consumption
happened
came
is
from
he said
external
that
sources,
every single
with
person in
Russia
Croatian
providing
government who
48%
votes for
of
Finland
total
to get into
imports.
NATO is a
The
traitor.
invasion led to severe
And what
supply
happened then
disruptions,
is
causing
people
crude
laughed
oil
at him,
prices to surge past
and then he just shut up.
$130 per barrel, a 50%
That was that.
increase
That was
from
that was
pre-war
his little
levels.
arc of trying to not
Natural
get
gas
Finland into
prices
NATO.
saw even more dramatic spikes, with panic buying exacerbating the
Kurdish problems
situation.
are not as bad as
The
before.
European Central Bank
Most of the
reported a
Turkish people want to
180%
join, but we stay
increase
away
in
because
gas
of
prices
Erdogan's
in the first
perfect
2 weeks
policies.
following the invasion. Additionally, the
Could see
destruction
that.
of the Nord
I do
Stream
think
1
he's
and Nord
quite
Stream 2
supportive, though.
pipelines in the Baltic Sea further strained supply. While
Right, he's
investigations
getting
are
getting
ongoing,
quite a
the
lot of
US
support.
is suspected of involvement
But
in
also,
the
to
attack.
be fair, like I don't
As
even
of
know
late
if he had a good
2023, natural gas prices remain 11% higher than pre-war
if he had good
levels, impacting
alternatives.
the European economy by driving up the cost of goods and
Turkey would
services and
absolutely
straining
benefit
household
from
budgets.
democratization of society
This energy
if
crisis
it
has
wants to
prompted
be moving
European
into any
leaders
sort
to
of
accelerate the
European
transition to
path.
renewable energy sources and seek alternative suppliers.
In our last election, I genuinely
However,
felt that
this shift
every
has increased
considerable
dependency
party's
on the
policies would
US,
harm
with
the
a
country to
70%
such a
surge
degree
in
I couldn't
LNG
in good
imports from
conscience
the
vote for any of
US
them.
in
Oh
2022.
damn!
US. Companies have profited
Every
immensely,
single
with
one?
estimates suggesting a single
Man,
LNG
holy
shipment
shit.
could generate $150 million, highlighting international price
I can
gouging.
partially understand you.
Despite recent increases in defense spending, European militaries
I can
remain
partially
underfunded
understand you, and then I
fragmented,
voted for
hampering their ability to
I
act
voted
with
for
a
Hardison.
unified policy and purpose.
But I partially see where
European
you're coming
NATO
from.
members have not met their funding commitments,
Trust
allocating
in
only
politicians and
1.6%
political
of
parties is so
GDP
low
to
that they
defense
resort to
compared to the
increasingly
US
populist policies
3.5%.
to win over the people, and in
This
doing so
funding
make
gap
poor
leaves
economic
Europe's
decisions,
defense heavily reliant
worsening
on
the
the US.
situation and further eroding
The
trust.
European
Yeah, I see that.
Defense Agency describes
I see that,
European
I see
armed
that, I see
forces
that.
as boutique militaries due to their lack of
A
standardization
self-fulfilling
and
prophecy type of a
interoperability.
thing, isn't it?
Analyses by Carnegie Europe reveal significant capability gaps, particularly in air and ground forces,
A lot of
outdated
younger
fighter
people no
jets,
longer
and
trust
limited
support
pilot
democracy
training.
and rather
This
see a more
dependency severely
authoritarian government.
compromises Europe's
Yeah, it's the
autonomy.
idea. It's like that.
The European economy is also struggling.
You
with
know that meme
Eurozone
with the political
GDP growth
compass?
averaging only
The meme,
1.8%
well, like there's the
annually,
compass,
making it difficult
and
to
then in
compete
every
with both
corner,
China
like
and the
far
US.
corner, you have
Economic
that
inequality
idiot,
is rising, with 1 in
and
5
he's like,
adults in
I
the
want for
EU
society
at
to
risk of
crumble,
poverty or social
so
exclusion.
my ideology
Despite
can
perceptions
rise
of
up from
Europe
it.
as a socialist
And they
haven,
all believe
capitalism has
that
eroded
their
the gains
ideology
of
would
social
win.
democratic
I think
policy,
it's like that when it
pushing
comes to
many
young
into
people
poverty, particularly children.
supporting authoritarian
Real
governments.
wages are projected
It's
to
like
remain
they
below
all support
pre-pandemic levels, further
their
strained by high energy
version
prices.
of an authoritarian
Regional
government
disparities,
in which
such as
they would
20%
be having a
unemployment in
good
Spain,
time. So you have
exacerbate
like
these
commies
challenges,
supporting
defying
commies,
one-size-fits-all
and you have
solutions.
nationalists supporting
The EU
nationalists,
is also
and
grappling
each
with
one
a
of these
significant
groups wants to
influx of
kick the
refugees
other
from
group
conflict zones
into
and unstable
concentration
regions,
camps,
including Syria,
and none of them
Afghanistan,
are
and Ukraine.
aware
Asylum
that
applications
in a
rose by
situation
18%
of
in
falling
2023,
to
reaching 1.3
authoritarianism,
million, with a
they are
backlog
going
of
to be in danger because they
885,000
can't comprehend
applications.
that they could be on
This
the
surge
losing
is partly
side.
due to the
You
EU
allow
and
dictators
US
into power.
destabilizing these
You're not the
regions,
one choosing
producing
who goes into
refugees.
concentration camps, bitch.
In addition to asylum seekers,
And I don't
the
think they're
EU
able to
received
understand that,
5.3
like how much
million
of danger
immigrants
they're
in
willing to gamble
2022,
with.
a
Because sure, there's a
115%
possibility
increase from
that we
2021.
do get an authoritarian
This
leader,
influx has
and that he
fueled the
actually
rise
is a
of racist
communist, and that he
violent
actually
right-wing
does
movements in
put
several
all the
EU
nationalists
countries, including
into
Poland,
concentration
Hungary,
camps,
and
sure, which would
Germany.
still put you in danger even
These
if you are
groups use
not a
populist
nationalist.
rhetoric to
If
argue
we
that
learned
immigrants are a
anything from
burden on the
history,
state,
it's that everyone
unable
is
to
in
integrate
fucking
culturally,
danger of
and
dictators.
taking jobs from citizens.
But also,
Despite
like, you
these
can
challenges,
never
there
be
are some
certain that
positive
this system is
developments.
going to be stable enough
The
for your
EU
party
is
to
working to
stay in
improve
power
relations
for
with
long
China,
enough. So
emphasizing
basically, you're
economic
just
ties.
allowing
Daily
incredible
trade between the
risks
two exceeds 2.5
for
billion euros,
no
though the
gain
EU
at
has a
all,
substantial
really.
trade deficit of 400 billion euros. The
I don't
EU
care about
seeks to
politics, I'm
address
not
this by
voting, won't
working
learn
with China
anything
to
about
allow
it.
more market access
Also,
for
why won't they
European
fix everything
businesses.
right now immediately? That
China
too,
is
that
taking
too.
steps to
And also, I
accommodate
think the
European
whole
companies,
thing
which often
with
face restrictions
politics
and
seeming
competition
as
from local
something
firms.
distant, I think it's a big
Besides
problem.
wisely seeking better
Because you're
relations
not
with the
really
world's soon-to-be second superpower,
encouraging
the
people
EU is
to
also, albeit
see
slowly,
politicians
attempting to
as
claw
just
itself out
like
from under the
normal
weight of US
people
influence.
from the
Geopolitical
nation.
tensions, such
And I
as
think
those in the
that's
Asia-Pacific
messing
region,
up the
pose
situation a lot.
challenges
It
for the
reminds me
EU's efforts.
of that anarchist we
However,
had in chat
progress
who
is
was
being
always
made
like,
as
oh, it's us versus them, and them was the politicians, right? So he was always like, oh yeah, they can't understand us. Oh yeah, they don't live the same way we do. Oh, they don't think the same way we think, shit like that. And it's always like, have you ever spoken to a politician?
These steps toward greater
Have you ever like had an interaction with any of them? These are just like normal people.
As the
the
European
older you
Union
go, you
continues to
see
navigate
more
its
people of
precarious
your own
position
age
on the
getting
global
into
stage,
politics, being
its path to
politically active,
survival
right?
and potential
You understand that they
resurgence
are
is
just
fraught with
trying to
challenges
create a
and
change into
opportunities.
some direction. Sure,
The
some of them
EU's
are
ability to
stupid,
reassert its
and
sovereignty
some of them
and
are trying
secure
to
a more
cause
independent and
change
prosperous
that you
future
would
will
see as
depend on a
harmful.
multifaceted approach
But
addressing
they're still just
economic,
normal people
political,
with their
and
shitty
social
ass
issues.
views. There's no
Economic
reason to see
reforms
them as
and
an entire
diversification.
different species. I
Boosting
don't know, it reminds me
competitiveness
of like
and
incels
innovation,
talking about
the
women.
EU needs to prioritize policies that
Where it's
enhance
like making up this
competitiveness
whole
and
little
foster
thing
innovation
as if
across
women are a
member
whole
states.
different species that is
Investing
unable
in
to be
research
understood
and
and you
development,
can't cooperate them
particularly
with
in
anyway.
high-tech industries and green technologies,
Just go
can
outside.
drive economic
Try
growth.
to volunteer. Try to volunteer
Streamlining
for a political
regulations
party. You're
and
going to
reducing
see how it
bureaucratic
is.
hurdles for businesses can also create a more dynamic economic environment. Reducing dependency on external energy sources, the
Democracies
EU must
by
accelerate
definition are
its
slow
transition to renewable
because they're
energy
based on
sources to
compromise and
reduce
debates. That's
dependency
true.
on foreign energy
Which sucks.
imports, particularly from
Chabs.
volatile regions.
That's what sucks
Investing
about them in a
wind,
way.
solar, and other renewable energy infrastructure will
That's
not
what
only
allows
enhance
us to be
energy
really
security,
slow and
but also create jobs and stimulate
well,
economic
doing
growth.
anything really. We're just
Initiatives
way
like the
too fucking
European
slow. We
Green
have
Deal
way
aim
too
to
much
achieve
bureaucracy.
climate
We have
neutrality
way
by
too much
2050, but these efforts need to be expedited
way
and
too much
supported by robust
debating
policies.
about shit that should be
Addressing
really
economic
simple.
inequality.
But then also
To
it's like,
combat
you know,
rising inequality, the
you gotta
EU
go
should
through that.
strengthen social safety nets and ensure fair labor practices. Policies promoting living wages,
Not
affordable
necessarily the same
housing,
problem,
and
but it's
access
still
to
part of
quality
general
healthcare and
pessimistic
education
feeling
are
toward
essential.
policies. I see that. I see that. I see that.
Tax reforms
We
targeting
have
wealth
currently a
and
political
closing
party in
loopholes
Croatia
can
that is
generate
just
revenue
made
for
up
social programs and
of
reduce the gap
online
between
political
rich and poor.
influencers, basically.
Political unity and reform.
And I'm not even that strongly
Strengthening
against
democratic
it, to be
institutions.
honest. But it's
The
really
EU must
hard to
enhance
check
the
their history and to
transparency
check
and accountability
what
of
they
its
support.
institutions to
But
rebuild
we're talking
public
about
trust.
young, very educated
Addressing
people
democratic deficits,
in fields
such
of
as the
politics
perceived lack
specifically.
of
I know
direct
it's being
representation
led
in
by
EU
this woman who is
decision-making
currently
crucial.
on European Union
Reforms
Parliament.
could include increasing the
She's not
powers of the European
elected
Parliament
as a
and enhancing
member,
the role of
but
national
she did
parliaments in EU
she did
government.
praxis on it. She
Combating
went
right-wing
there
extremism. The
as
rise of
I don't
right-wing
know. It's like
extremism and
part of
populism
education
poses a
to go
significant
there
threat to
and
European
get some
unity.
sort of experience
The EU
on how
needs
it
to
is
implement
working there
policies
and
that
how
promote
it
social
is
cohesion and
how
address
the
the root
documents are
causes of
translated
discontent,
into Croatian
such as
specifically,
economic
shit like
hardship
that. I
and
know a lot of
perceived
times
loss
she
of
was like
cultural
up there
identity.
listening to speeches and then
Education campaigns, community
having
engagement,
to
and countering
redistribute the Croatian
misinformation
version
can
of
help
the
mitigate
speech
the
to other
influence of
students and shit like
extremist
that. So it's really, really
ideologies.
interesting.
Enhancing defense
But yeah,
and security
I'm kind of
cooperation
supportive of that.
to reduce
I'm
reliance on
supportive of
U.S. military
more
power.
young people
The
getting
EU
into
should invest in
politics
developing a more
specifically.
cohesive and capable European defense force. This involves increasing defense spending,
Democratic
standardizing
dictatorship
military
in the
equipment,
West, that
and
too,
improving
that too, that too.
coordination among member states. The establishment of initiatives like the European Defense Fund and Permanent Structured Cooperation, PESCO, are steps in the right direction, but they require stronger commitment and implementation.
You know that what I'm salty about when it comes to them following the oligarch kids?
Balancing relations with major powers.
Not even the illusion of
must
how
navigate
Russians
its
live,
relationships with major global powers,
but the illusion of how
particularly
this
the US and
specific
China,
Russian
to
lives.
maintain strategic autonomy.
You know what I mean? It reminds
While
me of that
improving
Russian
economic
lib.
ties with China, the
That
EU
woman.
should remain vigilant about protecting its
What's her
interests
name?
and values,
What's her dumbass
such
name?
as
I don't
human
remember.
rights and fair
She's a
trade
Russian liberal,
practices.
quite infamous
Balancing
in the
this
West.
with a pragmatic approach
And
to
you can see the
relations,
difference in her
emphasizing mutual
stances
respect and
when
cooperation
she
rather
is
than
writing in
subservience is
English
crucial.
and when she writes in
Promoting
Russian.
stability in the neighborhood, the EU
And what
should
you
play a
have
proactive
is
role
people
in
being too
stabilizing its
stupid
neighboring regions through
to
diplomacy,
open her
development
post
aid,
and to click
conflict
on
resolution
translate.
efforts. Addressing the
So
root
they
causes of
genuinely
migration,
believe
such as
that she
poverty
is
and
against
conflict,
this war
can help manage refugee
because
flows
when
and
she
reduce
writes
the
in
strain
English,
on
she
EU
makes
member
it
states.
ambiguous enough. So
Social
you
and
think she is
cultural
against the war.
integration.
But when she writes in
Fostering
Russian,
inclusive
you know she's
societies,
not against the
the
war,
EU
she's
needs
just
to
against
promote
Putin.
policies that encourage the
She doesn't give a
integration
shit
of
about the war
immigrants and
itself.
refugees, ensuring they can contribute
It's
positively
incredible,
to
and
their
it's
new
like you just need to
communities.
translate. Just click on translate.
Language training,
Just
employment
go and like,
programs,
oh,
and
oh wow,
anti-discrimination
now I see what
measures
she
are
wants to
vital
say.
for
Nope.
fostering inclusive
Nope.
societies.
They're too dumb to do
Cultural
that. It's
preservation
so
and
annoying.
innovation. Balancing the preservation of cultural heritage with the promotion of cultural innovation can enhance social cohesion. Supporting the arts, cultural exchange programs, and educational initiatives that celebrate diversity will strengthen the European identity while respecting national differences. Conclusion. The European Union stands at a critical juncture. The challenges it faces are formidable, but not insurmountable. By implementing comprehensive economic reforms, enhancing political unity, asserting strategic autonomy, and fostering inclusive societies, the EU can navigate its way out of decline.
Ooh.
The journey will require
Hopefully.
bold leadership, resilient institutions.
And it is AI, isn't it? I wasn't listening to it that much before, and now I was like, That sounds interesting. That sounds very interesting. ChatGPT asked video, indeed. Look, sometimes you gotta go through them too. I also saved a video on fascism in Italy, because we were talking about fascism in Italy yesterday, and someone said that it's not as bad as people want you to think it is. And then I saved this one on European right-wing groups fighting over Meloni, which is directly connected to fascism in Italy. So it's like, yay. AI? What's new about AI? Wait, did I open the link? I did. Sustainability havoc? What? ChatGPT massive water energy consumption? ChatGPT consumes over 500,000 kilowatts of electricity each day. Its daily power usage is nearly equal to 180,000 US households. A single ChatGPT conversation uses about 50 centiliters of water, equivalent to one plastic bottle. Are we talking about conversations where you like ask him a question and then go? Are we talking about deep shit? Man. AI's water footprint varies significantly depending on where it's trained and hosted. For example, AI consumes 1.8 to 12 liters of water for each kilowatt hour of energy usage across Microsoft global data centers, with Ireland and the state of Washington being the most and least water efficient locations. Ireland! Damn! Can we just move ChatGPT there? And then it can get a seat in the European Union Parliament instead of Claire Daly. Fresh water only makes up 2.5% of the world's total volume. More than half of that is ice. Agriculture uses 70% of what's actually usable. By 2050, 2/3 of the world's population is expected to suffer from water scarcity, which will affect all aspects of people's lives. You know that we actually have, a thing here in Croatia where a lot of people believe that other countries want to invade us because we have so much fresh water. So yeah, fun fact, I guess. But there's this idea of, you know how usually countries go like, oh yeah, our nature is so beautiful and everyone wants to invade us. And ironically, a lot of Croats think that we have so much water that other countries want to come here and invade us. Yeah. It's like that's why they're trying to pull us into European Union so they could have control over the water sources. Sushi? Great, but so expensive. It's not even that expensive here. It's like normal price. It's half a liter. Why overcomplicate the text? Okay, yeah, proper. It's to confuse the Americans. Didn't know what a centiliter is? I don't know. Don't they measure water in like gallons or some shit? What are you talking about? Oh, our Minister of Regulation unironically called quinoa and sushi woke. We're bringing good old sandwiches back to school lunches, unlike the woke quinoa and sushi the Labour government was giving them. Man, you were giving children sushi in schools? Man, that's impressive. Why the fuck would you do that? How much would that cost? And with the upkeep and everything. Sushis out of all the things. That was the first thing on his mind. What's an example of woke food? Sushi. Fucking sushi. Have you guys ever eaten a school lunch? Have you ever eaten a school lunch? Because I feel if you got fresh meat like that in a school lunch, I feel the next hour of classes, everyone would be having diarrhea constantly. Man, we used to be having school lunches. Oh, I'm pretty sure that shit was old. That shit was old. That shit was staying there for a while and then it was heated up in a microwave. I would not dare to eat sushi they served to me at school. Sometimes they would serve me a sandwich and I was like, fucking sushi? I would not dare to eat sushi in schools. The previous government actually gave them sushi. Holy shit. Holy shit. That's like one of those, you know those people who made that one graphic once about like what sort of food kids get in different countries. And then for Italy, it was like some fancy ass lunch. You remember that? And it was shared on all American sites. It was like, look what our children are getting, and then look what Italians are getting. And then Italians were like, bro, no. We don't eat that in school. The fuck is this? We do not get that as a school meal. What the fuck are you doing? It's like that. I feel sushi in school is like that. It's one of those things that you would make up as a lie that kids or politicians say, but I can't imagine getting that in schools as a lunch. We were always getting cheap shit. Lab-made meat, I support that. Cultured meat, it's called cultured meat. They take like one cell and then they duplicate it a million times. I support that. We wouldn't need to be having so many animals on farms. I would support it. USSR was having latte and cappuccino as options. Cappuccino? Well, like in school? In school? That reminds me. You know what that reminds me of? Ukrainians eat Russian children in schools. Donbass kids, I heard. I watched a video recently of that one little kid. There's a kid and he's viral on social media because he's making clothes. He's like a little designer and he's like 6 years old or something. And they filmed one video where it's like, oh, let's go, let's see like what he's gonna do today. Oh, early in the morning he wakes up and then he goes to make his favorite coffee. Now, was it a joke? I don't know if it was a joke. It's a tiny little kid and he like actually makes coffee. Does he drink coffee? I was not allowed to drink coffee as a child. Does he drink coffee? I don't know if he drinks coffee. So giving coffee to kids in school. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be angry. I would be surprised. I guess it's better than, giving them energy drinks, because energy drinks are shit, and they drink that a lot. Have you heard about the idea of banning energy drinks for kids younger than 18? Because I'm kind of supportive, to be honest. I'm kind of supportive. Russian school lunch, do I want to look? Man, bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on this. No way did I get 4 courses. Porridge sausage, I can see that. I can see that. This actually looks healthy. That actually looks healthy. I'm actually kinda jealous of that. You should be eating more fish. You should be eating more fish. Apparently a lot of health issues in our countries are ongoing because we don't consume enough omega-3. So eat fish more often. In Poland, there's already a ban on them for under 18s. Oh, nice! We don't have that. Oh, we don't have that. I'm kinda jealous. Wish we had it. Energetics in general, like coffee and energy drinks, both. I could be okay with that. Fish are polluted. Yeah, everything is, isn't it? At this point, everything is. Each school should have their own, how do you call it, like those pools where they grow fish. There's a word for that. Each school should have that, and then they can catch the fish themselves, and then you can ensure that at least the water quality is good enough. We have a school nearby, and they grow their own fruits and vegetables for lunches. It's kind of cool. They have like strawberries and shit, then they just grow their own, so they get to eat for lunch whatever they have currently. It's a cool little thing. I think I would support that thing. Fish farm. It's called fish farm. Fish farm is a term. Sounds dorky. It's funny. Fish farm. We have a fish farm. Now, lake is like a natural one. Lake is a natural one, but there's a word for like fake ones. Oh, it's a fish farm. Oh, that is cute. But yeah, fish farm. You need fish farms. Every school needs their own, with an appropriate number of fishes to have for all the kids in school. We need that shit. Fish farm. We have fish farms. We just don't have such a loser name for them. Fish farm. Which is a stupid thing to say. Fish farm. They eat a fish for Christmas that they let live in their bathtub until Christmas. Does your Slovakian friend smell really badly? Because there's like, do they not bathe? Or do they bathe with the fish? I'm not sure which one would be the worst option. Sea lice? I don't want to. I'm seeing the wink face and I don't trust you. Bathing with the fish is a tradition. Sounds like something Slovaks would do. That is disgusting. Those creatures are disgusting. That is ridiculous. That is horrible. That should be killed. That should be. I have this thing where I feel like most insects we can live without. Know what I mean? Most stuff like that. I feel we can just. I feel if we could wipe them out, I don't feel a lot of difference would be made in any sort of negative way. I would wipe them out. Is what I'm saying. This is a thing around Christmas in some places. You put a fish in your bathtub. Tick, serves, and mosquitoes. The three enemies of humanity. The three enemies of humanity. If you're having a bad day, you know one of the three is nearby. Chocolate covered ants. I'm not even against that, by the way. I know there was a lot of panic from right-wing circles about this. I am genuinely not against offering insects as food. Because first off, I hate insects, alright? I'm feeling I would love to have a nice little baggie of them. They would be like crispy and they would be spicy. I would want them really spicy. And I would have them on my desk. And then I would just chomp on them regularly just so the insects existing around can be fearful of me. All right? I would just do that. I would come out on my balcony and I would be like, just so they see me. Just so the fuckers see me and go away. I killed a spider yesterday. It was that big. It wasn't. It was like that one. But still, it scared me. All right? It scared me. And I killed him because I took a book and I chunked it on him. And the book is still there on the floor because I'm not daring to pick it up. It's staying there. I almost picked it up today and then I remembered what I did with it and then I just left it. So it's there and it's waiting for me to forget there is hopefully a dead spider under that book. Hopefully. Best case scenario, it's a dead spider. Worst case scenario, he's pretending to be dead and he's waiting for revenge. Insects cost a lot. They're not cheap. Also, we kind of already eat them. Yeah, that too. But like, I'm genuinely alright with them being offered as actual food item. I'm GG with that. who eats nasty bugs, then continue eating fucking chicken feet. Yeah, that too. Like, come on. Come on. Huh? Also, you know what that also reminds me of? My father always comments on this. They used to be having this saying here in the village that, like, if there's, you know how you can get peaches and you see if there has been a worm inside, like you see the evidence of a worm being there because he makes a little tunnel and you see it. And if there has been a worm in your peach, that means it's good to eat, right? Because that means it hasn't been sprayed by any sort of harmful pesticides or whatever. Because usually if there's no worms around, it means the shit has been sprayed with something. And especially previously when the regulations were really light on the shit, you didn't want to risk it. You didn't know the hell are you going to get. There was a rather famous case of a man here in the village spraying his entire vineyard with pesticides, and then a bunch of people got diarrhea in the village. And that is how he learned who has been stealing his grapes. Because they got diarrhea and he was like, what a coincidence. I used a new pesticide on my vineyard and now you're all shitting your brains out. So yeah, the idea is like you see evidence of a worm there, that's good to eat. But usually they wouldn't give a shit enough to like remove the worm. You would just like, oh yeah, all right, a worm has been in it, so the entire tree is good, so you just chomp it. How many worms have you eaten? Who the fuck knows? You don't usually see them. You don't look for them, but you eat them without knowing. It's a tiny little thing. It doesn't taste like anything. Why are we so against it in the first place? I don't know. Cheap protein with little environmental effect. Yeah, and also you get to kill the bugs for it. And they deserve to be killed. So, oh, I've heard that talking about chicken feet, I've heard in Asian stores you can buy a bag of just chicken feet. Just like a whole bag. Just chicken feet. Nothing else. And I know about it because I googled it for my mother because she wanted to buy it. And she was like, does that even exist? And I was like, I don't know if it exists. So I googled it and apparently you can buy it only in Asian stores in Croatia. It exists in Germany. Because man, I'm gonna inform my relatives about that. They didn't tell me they saw it. Maybe they didn't look for it. But nice. Yeah, I've never seen it here. We don't have it here. I have only seen that it is in offer in some Asian stores there. Yeah, you mostly get like skin on chicken feet. You don't get as much meat, but it's mostly the skin. Yeah, people here like to put it in paprikas. I don't know what's that in English, but it's tasty and it tastes good, and people like putting them in. It is soup, but yeah. Can't wait to rock up to the gym in 2:30 after eating 10 pounds of grasshoppers. See, you go to a gym, you're like, damn guys, gotta drink my protein. Everyone else drinking their little pussy bullshit with like the powder and then you mix it up like a little loser that you are. No. You go there, you have those huge grasshoppers, you just chomp on them, just like bite the head off. Perfect. Would support it. Pose a blocking part of the border again. Fuck them. Again? Fucking again? Come on. Really? Man. Fucking again though. I thought we stopped with this. Ukrainian soldier before and after Russian captivity. Man. Oh, I've seen some images. I've seen a lot of them shared during the last few days. Oh man. Dog food is also a fantastic source of protein. We have a rather infamous person here in the village who used to be doing the thing with getting blackout drunk, coming into the store to buy food for his cat, and then like a salami for himself to eat. And then he would always give the salami to the cat and he would eat cat food every single time. And he was always like, oops, I made a mistake. But I'm pretty sure, like, after it happens a few times, it can't be a fucking mistake anymore, right? So that's what you reminded me of. Maybe he was just trying to get some really good protein. Because I know cat food does have to have meat in it, right? There was something about cats being... How was it? Obligate carnivores? Like cats actually have to consume meat in order to be healthy, but dogs do not. So cat food will usually have more meat, actual meat, than dog food, because dogs can be healthy without actual meat consumption. Old people here still eat snails. Oh, my mother used to be doing the thing with collecting the snails and then selling them to older people in the village when she was really, really young. But she doesn't know how they prepared them. I asked, and she genuinely like has no idea what sort of a recipe it was. Just being a prisoner of war to Russia? Yeah. Just get into a fucking concentration camp.
Where the battles of the past still smoulder.
Are you a fascist?
If you ask me like that, I probably would say yes, but I have to complete the term.
Talking about cats, I have baby kittens. If you need baby kittens, let me know. I'm gonna ship them off to you. I got 4 little kittens. That's a lot. I've been trying to give them to family members for a while. No one needs them because they all have kittens from previous generations.
The years of violent
it's the cat, you know, I have one cat that's really old, and the veterinarian told us that it would be unsafe to try and sterilize her because she's so old and he thinks she can't survive anesthesia. And then he was like, yeah, well, she's probably gonna stop giving birth soon anyways because she's old as shit. Well, turns out she's still giving birth. She's still giving birth, and like all of her kids are sterilized. We fixed all of them, but she's just giving birth over and over and over. It's becoming a problem at this point. I don't even know what to do. Oh, they're tiny, they're tiny. She's hiding them. She's hiding them. She gives birth like quite far away, and then they're like hidden until they're small, until, you know, they grow enough. So she brings them here to get food. That's what she does. She hides them, and then later she's like, ho ho ho, look at this. Look what I found in the forest. Oh, they're already so big and so cute. Now we gotta give them food. So she's gonna do that now too.
With the fascist salutes happen across the country.
Every Italian centrist.
The state allows them to take place, and society somehow seems to tolerate them.
Society somehow seems to tolerate them, yeah, because they're
associated with the dark chapters of Italy's past still infuse the present. For the hardcore believers, a return to where it, or rather
there was no leftist. I think we should report them to the police.
The small town
I think we should report them to the police.
In northeast Italy,
imagine
the
that.
Birthplace of Benito Mussolini,
Italian, like, bro, your country isn't always has been a joke. To be
in
fair,
1945 after a ruthless 20-year rule.
To be fair,
every year on the anniversary of his death, the faithful
probably
gather to honor him. Not for them, the
wanted to figure out like one good thing that they have. They don't really have a lot of things going on for them, do they?
Mussolini merch. From the traditional to the tacky.
They got Meloni right now.
An extraordinary world.
She's a bit prettier from other fascists they used to be having, right?
Existing in Germany, selling Hitler and Nazi paraphernalia. It just wouldn't happen. This is extraordinary. It's Mussolini marketing. And it sells.
Then it begins. Part funeral
A lot
procession,
minority?
part
I think it's...
parade.
I don't think it's as small of a minority as one would want them to be.
They're called to attention.
But yeah. To be fair, I think it's important to learn about them because I think far right is interconnected in all of our countries. So the far right in Italy is connected to far right in Croatia. All of our far right trash is connected to other far right trash. And usually, if you know how one of them got in power, you know what to look out for so they don't get in power in your country too.
Chi l'ha detto che era un criminale? Se le tre regole, Dio, patria, famiglia, rispettare le regole, portare il debito dello Stato al zero, l'INPS, a maternità, pagare vuol dire essere criminale, allora
If all of that is a crime, maybe he is, but I don't think he was. It brings the energy of like maybe USSR did something
non ho
bad.
mai infranto la legge, ho sempre pagato le tasse. Se tu dici che se io sono fascista ti dico sì. Se tutto questo vuol dire essere fascista, sì,
Oh, my
lo
man.
sono. Io romanamente saluto il mio capo di Stato, unico e solo.
Mussolini never got treated the same way as Hitler. I see that. Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Deriving from ancient Rome, adopted by the fascists and passed on to the Nazis. Benito Mussolini, nicknamed Il Duce or the Leader, swept to
I
power
love how
in
he goes the
1922,
salute.
beginning 2 decades of
That we got from
totalitarian
ancient
rule,
Rome.
marked by a brutal repression of opponents, concentration camps and invasions
Swedish
abroad.
Conservative Party. Yeah, I saved a video on it on European right-wingers fighting about Meloni.
Worsening after Italy's
I saved a video on it.
Hitler's Germany.
I wanted to watch this one before we watched
After the war,
the
a
one with
neo-fascist
like wider
party was allowed
European
to
Union
form, and figures
conversation.
from the Mussolini
But yeah,
era
apparently
filled
they all
state
want Meloni
institutions.
to get on their side.
The party remained sidelined until
Which, by the way,
Silvio
remind
Berlusconi
Meloni,
brought it into his coalition,
Meloni's
legitimizing the
government,
extreme.
Italy, doesn't allow Ukraine to strike Russia with the weapons that Italy gives them.
Li abbiamo legittimati noi, li abbiamo costituzionalizzati noi.
Today, the black shirt salutes fill various yearly tributes. They say it's historical commemoration. Critics call it glorification of past crimes.
Il fascismo non è morto nel 1945, è stato sconfitto militarmente, ma ha continuato a vivere nella pancia di molti italiani.
Berlusconi.
Mi chiamo
Yeah, I forgot about that,
Paolo
man.
Pezzi, sono un giornalista, mi occupo
Probably good.
di neofascismo, di neonazismo e da quasi 6 anni vivo sotto scorta per minacce neofasciste e neonaziste.
To be fair, I do agree that Meloni might not be openly fascist. I do think a lot of her, a lot of stances that people apply to her are a bit dramatic. So I don't think she's openly fascist. But I don't think she's ambiguous. I ain't thinking she's ambiguous. But yeah. I don't think she's as fascist as people want to say that she is. I do think that a lot of criticism about her has been a bit overblown.
In qualche modo il fascismo ha fatto anche cose buone, che Mussolini ha fatto delle cose accettabili, utili al paese.
Italy's post-war constitution has one article that bans reforming the fascist party. The subsequent so-called Scelba law forbids groups pursuing the same anti-democratic aims, glorifying fascism, using violence to do so, or promoting the suppression of freedom. But it's only been used twice to dissolve fringe movements, and it leaves it up to judges to decide whether acts like the salute are a crime.
Bunga bunga parties are normal Italian
Many think the
cultural
law could have
thing.
been used after this, protests over COVID restrictions that attacked Italy's main trade union.
Post-fascist
It was
is the
seen
right
as
term.
out of the fascist playbook, since the unions were targeted under Mussolini.
Most modern conservatives are fascists.
Forza Nuova took part that day, a fringe hard-right party still not banned.
You know what it is? I don't think they necessarily are fascists. But I do think they cozy up to them.
Luca Castellini, its deputy
I don't think
leader,
most of
was
them are
jailed for the
fascist, but I think a lot of them
violence, but
cozy up
freed
to
pending
them.
appeal.
Flag up here of the Donetsk.
It's like leftists cozying up to. Well, red fascists. The same shit, isn't it?
Part of Ukraine taken by Russia or claimed by Russia.
È la parte dell'Ucraina che è russa. Il calendario più venduto in Italia, questo tra l'altro.
You've got the Mussolini calendar. You said this is the most sold calendar in Italy.
No, lo dico io.
Bro!
We are fascists. A call to arms. We are fascists. And then
Bro!
this is of course, the flag.
Don
the
Billy
order.
Bombas!
Fascist Republic.
This was also Luca Castellini.
Bro! Whoa!
As head of Verona's
There
Ultras,
are lots of people who don't know they're fascists, but will find out when the time is right. That actually reminds me, yesterday I had a conversation with Croats on Twitter.
Could never be truly Italian.
And one of them goes, "What's your definition of fascism?" So I give him the definition, and he's like, well, like that would apply to views of many people. And my definition was basically authoritarian, something like authoritarian nationalism, that it seeks, Googled it, it seeks national revival in the, how was it? Removal of groups or something like that. I went to look up the Croatian definition specifically so I wouldn't mistranslate. And we're talking about a dude who previously has said that he would want to chunk a large number of population into concentration camps, right? So he's like, all right, well, like kicking people in concentration camps is one thing. And I might agree that might be fascism, but I think a lot of people think it's fascism when someone is religious. And I was like, what?
She started in politics in the neo-fascist youth.
So he does the whole thing with like, yeah, like you're just calling me fascist because I'm religious and because I want to live according to my religion, which is Christianity, by the way, which doesn't even advocate for putting people in concentration camps. But a lot of people call me fascist because I'm religion, and I don't even think that they call me fascist because of wanting to chunk people into concentration camps. I think they do it because they don't know what fascism is, and now it just so happens that you know what fascism is, but that doesn't count.
She has moderated and moved it away from the far right
what?
to the mainstream.
What do you mean? What do you even mean? What the fuck was that?
An example for Europe's nationalist politicians hoping she'll lead a new
Modern
right-wing
conservatives
wave.
are bigoted, not all of them are fascist. I
And
would say a
hoping to emulate her
lot
success
of
in their
them
countries.
are
And on the past,
cozying
she had
up
this
to
message.
fascists. I would say a lot of them are cozying up to fascism. Though to be fair, I do have the opinion that them not understanding it doesn't mean doesn't make it any better. Right? It doesn't make it any better. A lot of people were Nazis while being too stupid to know the details of what they were subscribing to. But they were still Nazis, right? It's not like you gotta know the specifics of the shit that you are supporting in order to be considered a true fascist. You're still a fascist. Even if you don't know exactly why you're a fascist, you're still a fascist. They're on my side, so it's good. Yeah.
Su cui riflettere. Nel momento in cui tu non riesci a definirti antifascista in una repubblica nata dall'antifascismo, evidentemente vuol dire che hai qualche problema a farlo.
But Meloni's supporters say the issue is with the way
No, it
in
doesn't
which
automatically
anti-fascists have protested over
equate
the
to
years.
it, sure. But a lot of conservatives do cozy up to them.
With police.
Being anti-fascist,
Conservatives specifically tend to be
a very brave act, a brave of freedom,
by the nature
for democracy.
of their beliefs. They
falling
tend
of
to be prone for falling into the most damaging types of populism, which very often is fascism itself. conservatives tend to be very, very weak to shit like open fascism, open Nazism, but also like just casually being racist and shit and stuff like that. Conservatives tend to be really, really weak to. I think most scum of the earth political parts that you can think of, really.
Second city of Italy putting the fascist salute. How do you think that looks?
Yeah. They're not automatically fascist, but a lot of them are cozy with the ideas. Populism isn't confined to right-wing politics only. Yeah, but like right-wing is a different thing that we're talking about.
And so one side of
Like
Italy sees
conservatism
fascism as a threat, as a
and
ghost
right-wing are
haunting the
not
present.
interchangeable
The other is a
terms.
fantasy whipped up by the left.
But yeah, of course, I agree that populism isn't
Across
just
Italy,
a right-wing
politically speaking, lives on.
politics
Historical
thing.
battles still
Definitely.
part of the present. We've come to Bologna, which has always been at the centre of the fight against fascism. Here are the names and faces of the partisans that died defending this city from the fascists in the 1940s. But then it went on to 1980 with Italy's worst terror attack. Bombings at the train
Got
station
monument
here in Bologna
faces of the people
by
fighting against
neo-fascists that
fascism.
killed 85 people. And so fascism
Got
and
neo-fascists
anti-fascism
killing
have always been
people
at
in
the
the
heart of
country,
this
and then you got
city's, this
fascists
country's
just
political
openly walking
lexicon.
around.
We're seeing things in these
Oh, not true.
recent years that are
I do
very
agree
similar
that populism
to what
is not solely a
happened at the
right-wing
beginning of the regime
thing, but
and at the beginning of
I still
fascism a
stand
century
by
ago. Attacks
the
on
fact
freedom
that
of press, censorship,
a lot of
freedom
conservatives
for
are
the
cozying up to
LGBTQI
fascism.
community,
Being a
attacks on
conservative
the
does not
liberty and
inherently mean
freedom
one
of
is a
women,
fascist. It
to
doesn't directly
determine
mean
what they
one
can do
is
on their own body.
supportive
So
of
do you feel that the
fascism
fight, the anti-fascism
at all,
fight is
but
still
I do
relevant
think
today?
a lot of them are.
I definitely believe
It's
very
definitely a
relevant,
red
and I
flag type
also
of thing. Like if I
see,
know someone is a conservative,
again, to strike a parallel,
I'm
the
warned.
fact that the far right,
I'm being
not only in
warned.
Italy but all over the world, is sort of trying to find a scapegoat for people's difficulties in everyday lives by attacking the stranger, the person who comes from abroad, the migrant. It's something similar, again, to what was done a century ago. Germany, in some ways, sort of had to address the past because there was victors and those who had lost the war. Italy's role was a little more ambiguous, right? So first with Hitler and then surrendered, and there's much to be said about really grappling with that legacy.
I know when it comes to a country that is under
History is weaponized
a
in a country
direct
still not at peace with
attack
its past.
against itself,
Sugarcoating
I
the
do
bitter
think
parts
that
of
the
collective
level
memory.
of tolerance
Nostalgia
towards some
given free
specific
rein.
things is a bit different.
My name is Roberto
Like
Fiore,
it was in
and
Croatia,
I'm
for
the
example, in
National Secretary
1990s,
of,
using
Forza Nuova.
the Dom Spremni in Croatia in
I define
1990s
myself as someone who really
had a
who
lot
has
different
certainly got,
context around it
some
than it
ideas
would
and
have
some
when people
inspiration
use it today.
by certain part of
Right?
fascism.
It's very different. Like, are you a country under attack?
ask me like
Do you
that, I
have to
probably would
mobilize
say,
people to come and
yes,
fight
but I
for
have
the
to
existence of your
complete
country? Do you gotta
term
mobilize
and say
specifically
I'm a
nationalists? Because
revolutionary.
they are
You
usually
deny
rather
that-
easy to
that-
get to
that
volunteer to go to the front,
fascist
right?
regime was violent and criminal?
Like, are your
Yes,
country
absolutely
actually
right.
under
Mussolini
attack?
signed the racial laws.
Having to
I mean, he
pull into your
deported- this was
historical
a regime
national
that deported
identity
Jews
to fight for your right
death
to exist?
that outlawed
Or
the
are you a
opposition, that put
country at
political
peace
opponents in internment camps?
who's just
Are you honestly saying that you
fascist
supported those measures?
because you got
Internment
bigoted
camps are
people
things
in
that
your
happened
politics.
with the war. The Americans did it, the
There's
Germans
a
did it,
big
the Italians did
difference.
it, and
There's
so
a
on.
big difference between the two.
Who were gassed, who were shot, who were exterminated for their religion.
Fascism has never been accused of this. I'm talking about fascism as a regime. Mussolini and all his ministers had never been
What these clowns are
tried.
doing would be illegal in a normal country. Yeah, that
this
is it.
government in power in Italy is occupying your political
Cause
space.
for a genocide, I don't know if I would.
No, I believe that they are freeing a lot of the political space that we're going to take.
But also, I do speak from a context
One
of
of
a
the main
person
points
in
is
a
immigration.
safe country, you
We
know.
have always
So it's
been
different,
against
definitely.
immigration. Meloni,
It's a
has always
different
been
thing,
against
but
immigration. Sometimes
not
without
really,
saying
not really supportive
tone
of
and
stuff like
strength.
that.
Now,
Yeah, in
immigrants
Minecraft,
last year, this year have increased their number of 50%. Where do you think Italian people are going to go after this betrayal of
Western support would be getting lower. That is true. That is true. And they would definitely be used as examples of, hey, look, Russia is actually correct. Russia is actually correct because look, these people actually are a danger to Russian citizens.
Germany's got the problem rather than Italy.
No, yes, because freedom is freedom.
Neither victor nor vanquished. Italy memorializes in a way others do not. The name, architecture, and gestures of the regime allowed to live on.
What do you think? We have to destroy everything. This is the
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think West will abandon Ukraine necessarily. I don't think the West will abandon Ukraine. I don't think it's moving strong enough, but I don't think the West will abandon it.
That would say yes, yes, yes on a lot of our ideas.
And is Italy, the laboratory of fascism, once again a political testing room?
What should be seen as a crime, as apology of fascism, is actually, again, downplayed as, oh no, it's just nostalgic, it's a tribute.
Oh yeah, USA. I'm talking about USA possibly. Talking about USA possibly. I don't think we will see Europeans do it though.
Even policies once banished.
But yeah, when it comes to USA, I don't really trust USA as much. Although there has recently been a Biden speech. I don't know if you've seen a Biden speech, the one where he brags about the fact that Russian military has been decimated. He's asked about, I think, the effectiveness of weapon deliveries or something. And he goes, yeah, no one's writing about the fact that the Russian military has been decimated. And we've seen Andrew also commenting on the fact that Russians, they still are bringing a lot of vehicles and a lot of weapons to the front because they still do have a lot from old stocks. But at the same time, a lot of it is being destroyed. A lot of it is being destroyed, and we are seeing a lot of Russians die. So I do think that there's a possibility, if the Western support continues, I think there's a possibility of Russia actually getting to lose. But I don't know. Like, from my position, it's not enough to be like, oh yeah, well, the Russians are slowly losing their Soviet stocks, so we just gotta hold on until they lose their Soviet stocks, and then they're gonna be fucked in the ass. It's not really, you know what I mean? It's not really something that I would be okay with. You know how much human sacrifice that brings? But also I understand that he is rather confident in the ability of USA to keep the same level of support it has been given to Ukraine so far. No, I don't agree that Ukraine must be fascist in peace. I don't agree Ukraine must be fascist in peace. I do think that it is absolutely possible for a country to be properly militarized and to be putting enough money in the defense of itself and in its military sector while not being fucking fascist. I definitely don't believe fascism is needed for this. Yeah, Destin, how are you doing? We were watching videos on fascism in Italy. We're gonna be watching something on right-wing groups in Europe to learn about Meloni a little bit. France? Nah, I think France for now is gonna be alright. But yeah, Le Pen has been getting a lot of power. Last time she already got really close. She got really, really, really close. So this time, it's definitely going to be really, really dangerous. So, you know, if we want France to be a strong support of Ukraine on a path to victory, we will need to make sure that the path of victory happens while Macron is in power. Right wing in Ukraine. I don't think it has a worrying amount of right wing parties. They haven't gotten a worrying amount of votes. So personally, I think the situation in Ukraine is as expected, really. Especially from a country that is currently getting invaded. Just a normal situation. Fully expected. We had a similar situation. We just talked about this actually. We had a similar situation in Croatia during the war here, where what we had was the revival of the old Croatian national identity to be used as, what's the word? Inspiration, basically, for nationalism, used by people to volunteer for the military and to, try and defend our area from the invaders. So I think it was actually expected that there is going to be a rise in certain ways of right-wing messages, right-wing politics in Ukraine. I think it was expected, but I don't think it's genuinely worrying. I don't think there's too much of it. Le Pen, Meloni, Wilders. Oh man. Yeah. I want to trust Meloni. I want to trust Meloni on this. I want to trust Meloni. True masculinity, ethnocentrism, traditional family and gender norms. Because true masculinity is an idea that hurts men and women both. Ethnocentrism is one of those that I can slightly agree with, but traditional family usually used to be suppressing other forms of family. Gender norms, same thing, used to suppress people. There's no need why suppressing your own people would be helpful to a country. There's no good that you're getting by suppressing people, genuinely. Why would government spend money on LGBT films and films of their friends instead of patriotism? You know what you get in that situation? You get a shit film industry. Alright, we tried to do that. Patriotism films are fucking stupid. It's just pure propaganda. It's dumbassery. No one watches that shit. No one likes to watch that bullshit. You can't make a patriotic film properly, especially like you make one or two of them about the war. No one gives a shit about stupid war films anymore. You turn into a badass copy of, those American films. You know, when Americans were really into films, how they went and invaded another country and then they were heroes. That's it. Like, it's just bullshit. No one really gives a shit about that. You can make any sort of a movie that people in the country want to make and watch. Yeah, let the artists do their thing, basically. Yeah. Artists can make whatever movies they want. Where was I on this? Poroshenko and Tymoshenko blocks in Ukraine. Right-wing in a broad sense? Could see that. But I think most people, when they talk about right-wingers in Ukraine, I think they want to be talking about the specifically far-right parties, because that's usually what you see people raising this pretend panic about. It's this idea that Ukraine has a lot of far-right parties. So I think that's what he was talking about. I don't really think it was, normal right-wingers. Russian Donbass films, yeah, stuff like that. It's shit. It's bullshit. It's very cheap attempts at propaganda. No one with a brain really cares about that. And then, plus, it actively harms the people in the country if you're trying to push them all into neat little boxes that you imagine you need to be pushing people in. After my 8th wax deactivated WEF communications chip, sadness. Late stream. It's always the late stream. It's always the late stream. I still do have though like half an hour though. Got enough time to watch my Meloni documentary. But yeah.
Brought to you by Nebula. Over the last few weeks, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has become a rather coveted figure. With Europe's parliamentary parties preparing to face off in this week's elections, Meloni has found herself at the heart of a growing charm offensive from both the centre-right and far-right blocs, who are each vying for her support. In the centre, Ursula von der Leyen wants Meloni's Brothers of Italy party to join her European People's Party, EPP, to help her secure a second term as EU Commission President. While the far-right Marine Le Pen also wants Meloni to join the Identity and Democracy Group, or ID, to strengthen its influence. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what's happening on Europe's right wing, why everyone wants Meloni, and who's most likely to win her over.
Who's most likely to win her? I'm genuinely unironically. I'm cheering for EPP. I'm cheering for EPP in this situation. I hope they manage to get her. Because it sucks. It sucks in every sort of a way.
But first, let's start with some context.
I hate them. I hate them so much. I looked into when they asked for that website a few days ago. I asked for the website. How's it called? How they vote. Is that how it is called? How they vote. And you can like search by terms, and then you can click on it, and then you can see how different groups have voted. Man. It's just, oh shit. You know what I've learned? I think I kind of even agree with Renew, unironically, more than I do agree with EPP. But still, like, worst party ever. Worst fucking group ever. It's not even a party, it's a goddamn group. They seem to be horrible on every single issue asked, constantly, like consistently ridiculous. Renew is actually good. Renew, because I've checked women's rights position, and EPP is not on my side there. They are not on my side there, but Renew is. So I do like Renew because of that more. Plus, they are based in Ukraine. But man... what are they? Oh, they're fighting about Italy still. All right. Meloni will run for the European elections. Hey, so will Plenković. Plenković is also running. I don't know what we're gonna do if he gets in. Like, what do we do if the PM goes into European Parliament? I like him here. I'm quite a big fan of him here. I like him here. He's good. I don't want to have someone else here. I don't know how positive I feel about having to choose someone else. You hate Christian Democrats? I'm GG with them because in Croatia they're alright. Because the Croatian version is HDZ, and HDZ is strongly supportive of Ukraine. And also they are at least neutral on most other issues where you would usually expect Christian Democrats to be pieces of shit about. They're alright. They're like neutral. They don't want any big changes to be brought, and they did support some policies which one might call progressive. So, yeah. And because of that, I'm kind of like alright with them. Alright-ish. But Renew definitely fits with my ideas a lot better. And then ID is absolutely the worst possibility. But when it comes to where Meloni goes, I hope Meloni goes to EPP, because I feel EPP is going to be able to control her. I do not feel that she is going to be a good influence in ID at all. Hey, yo, Slippers, how is life going? How's everything? Exact conditions for the anti-EU sentiment and fascism. Yeah, it's by the nature of being close to right-wingers. Or right-wingers, some of them. But by the nature of being close to right-wingers, yeah, they do have some dangerous people in the group. Absolutely. Do I smell some thank yous? You do. I timed out one of them for like a week, and then we have some random ones just existing. Just around. Nah, comrade is alright. Comrade is alright. I think. Economically, just as the other left-wing parties, we do not have economically literate politicians. Oh, well. If you're truly pro-EU, you can only vote Renew or Greens. I'm worried about the Greens. I'm worried about the Greens. But yeah. They seemed relatively alright. I think in my head, I would rather go Renew, because the Greens in my head, I connect them to the left, and I'm worried about the left. You know? I think it's the Croatian condition, because like the left-wingers here are traitors, but the right-wingers here, not far right, but like proper right, center-right, Christian Democrats, they're actually based on the question of Ukraine, right? So I'm actually alright with like soft right, but I'm not alright with left. I'm worried about the left. And then I'm also worried about far anything. Yeah, longer than 3 days. I'm streaming. We're doing a stream on Friday again. And then we'll see. I don't know how I work next week. It's 12 right now. They can balance out EPP and S&D. That too. Putin started wearing a bulletproof vest during public events outdoors. Oh shit. To be fair, what's the point? I feel you could just like take a chair and chunk it at this man and he would fall apart. What's the point of a bulletproof vest really? It's not like anyone's gonna shoot you. If they do try to get rid of him, I don't think they're going to be trying to, you know, actually do it with a gun. If you could just like stone him or some shit. What did I want to show you though? I forgot what I wanted to show you. There was one interview translated, and I'm gonna find it one day. But there was a question asked on, oh, here it is. What happens if a Russian fighter jet is shot down by a Western weapon in Russian airspace? Means Russia is going to have one less plane. I like that.
Und meine Aufgabe, unsere Aufgabe ist in der Politik doch zu erklären, was passiert, wenn wir das
yeah, the Greens have been rather anti-Russian, pro-Ukrainian. The Greens have been rather pro-Ukrainian. I learned this from doing that quiz about the Greens, in which, yeah, actually, if you wanted to get the result that you should vote for them, you needed to be pro-Ukrainian in the questions. So, yeah, they are all right when it comes to that.
Land aus der NATO, Polen, baltische Staaten angegriffen wird, dann werden auch wir
Greens will oppose Russian gas, Renew always opposed Russia for human rights and democracy issues. Yeah. So they seemed alright with that. I think I'm mostly like I'm tolerant of EPP existing because of Croatian HDZ being a part of it, and Croatian HDZ is an alright party. But yeah, Renew has been the party that I usually get in my results as the... I keep on like mixing up group and party. Renew has been the group that I get in my results whenever I do the quiz on who I should be voting for. And so far, yeah, when I check the voting thing, I usually do agree with them the most. So I think I'm probably going to be shooting for them. One reason why you wouldn't, to be honest, I don't really know. I don't really think I wouldn't. See, I haven't looked into CDU a lot though. Good looking others, eh? You would vote for me? Then you vote... Yeah, then you do go for Renew. You go for Renew. Look at them. They're here and they're so pretty. Full of fucking corrupt but doubt post-scandal wash-ups. The parliament itself? Hey, but you have a chance now to go and vote. And then you can ensure that it's not just corrupt people there. They're linked to questionnaire. Oh shit, what was the questionnaire? I don't know whose questionnaire we solved. I can give you this though. I can give you this. I think this is a cool little thing. I can give you this. Check this shit out. I looked into abortion recently. So you go here. Check the voting. But then Renew is here, and Renew is proper. And even you have Greens being even more proper. I just observed the Renew. I didn't even look at the Greens. Greens are being actually good on this. And you got it, of course, being it. And then you got Conservatives being Conservatives because they're Conservatives. What else are they going to be? But yeah. Overall, quite good. Meloni doesn't want to fix Italy's economy because the issues caused by the bad economy boost her party. Classic. Classic. If they failed in domestic politics, they run for EU Parliament. Oh. Maybe that might be like a Polish thing, though. Because here we do have a lot of actually successful politicians going. Like our Prime Minister is going. Our Prime Minister is going. He won the elections. His party won the elections. So he officially became a Prime Minister again just a few days ago. And he's actually trying to get into the European Union Parliament, even though he's really, really powerful already. So, I don't know. I'm actually kind of worried about who's going to replace him, to be completely honest. But we do have traitors. Croatian ID Party is a traitor to Croatia itself. The Croatian ID Party, they have a man who is, he's from Vukovar, which is like the Croatian version of Mariupol, basically. And he voted against training Ukrainian soldiers on our soil. He was against. He's just literally a traitor to Croatia itself. Our man from like the east of Croatia, he should know the importance of this shit. And he's falling for Russian bullshit. Ridiculous. So yeah, I despise him. Are people who vote in EU elections usually more anti-EU? In Croatia? Not really. Because people who are anti-EU usually don't go to vote in EU Parliament elections in the first place. So yeah, not really. Brown is running from prosecution in Poland by trying to get to EU Parliament? Oh, to get the immunity. Oh, damn. Well, I hope they fail. I hope they fail fully. But yeah, that's very, very worrying. The immunity is ridiculous too. They shouldn't be getting that. They should not be getting that. New name for Dodik, renaming Srebrenica. Oh my god, I saw one article about this today. I was weirded the fuck out. I didn't even see what's the name idea. Does he have the name idea, or did he just like chunk out the idea of renaming it? But man, Milosevic. We want to erase the negative connotations. So we're going to delete the place we did the genocide in. We're just going to delete the name of the place, name it something completely different.
Now, most MEPs belong to a group, but about 60 MEPs are currently
not beating the allegations of being a genocidal nation, I have to say. Not beating the fucking allegations. That's exactly something a genocidal fucking nation would do. Do a genocide and then rename the fucking place, while still claiming you did not do the genocide. But now you want the place itself to be basically forgotten. What sort of a stupid ass move is that? That's so Serb. That is so Serb in nature, I swear to God.
But At the moment, the centre-right EPP
Perfect,
is
stupid
the
way to
largest
solve this.
party in the EU
I was so
Parliament,
angry about it,
with
and then I forgot, and now I'm angry
176
about it again.
and
Just
then predicted to
renaming the
win
fucking
another
place.
5 in June,
Re-
bringing its total to 181.
I can't.
Similarly,
I
the
fucking
ECR
cannot.
is predicted to win 74
Everyone sees
seats,
Srebrenica, and then they remember we did a genocide in Srebrenica. So now it's not going to be called Srebrenica anymore. It's going to be called something else. So when people see it on a map, they don't think of us doing a genocide there. Solve the problem of doing a fucking genocide.
Firstly, the biggest group in the chamber generally
Man.
supplies
Yes, for Serbs it's like it never happened, but they wanted us to genocide them.
proposes new EU laws.
It never happened, but they allowed us to do it because they actually wanted us. Not just provoked us into doing it. No, no, no. They wanted to be genocided so they could play the victim. That's the idea. Like ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
Especially with Ursula von der Leyen and Marine Le Pen. Well, let's start with von der Leyen.
They deserve it. Never happened, they deserve it, but we will do it again, yeah. Man, I'll never forget that one stupid ass Srebrenica denier dude who doesn't even fucking deny it. His denialism is literally like, oh yeah, Muslims just wanted it. Muslims wanted it. Muslims allowed Serbs to come in and to genocide them. It's the fault of Muslims because they wanted it to happen.
Still struggle to get a majority backing because, like last time round, there will be rebel MEPs within the three groups who do not back her for various reasons. As such, von der Leyen has started looking to the groups on her right, Maloney's ECR.
That's the problem.
Maloney on various policy issues, including most notably migration, and recently described Maloney as clearly pro-European, against Putin, and pro-rule of law. Adding that, quote, if this holds, then we offer to work together. Ironically, though, von der Leyen might actually have sabotaged her chances by banking on Maloney, because both the Socialists and Democrats and Renew have threatened to block von der Leyen's nomination if she seeks a deal with the ECR. So this could mean that even if the EPP and part of the ECR join together, von der Leyen might not have the majority approval needed for the presidency. But she's not Maloney's only
EPP
suitor.
advocated
The
to
other
ECR,
is
i.e.
Marine Le Pen.
destroy EU
Last
because
week,
they wanted
after
to
kicking out
protect
Germany's
millionaire
AfD
farmers in
party,
Bayern. Oh
Le
shit.
Pen asked Maloney to, quote, unite her ECR bloc with
I'm not
ID
thinking-
to create a right-wing supergroup that would likely become the second biggest in the
Mm.
EU Parliament after the EPP, which would give them significant opportunity to influence EU policy in areas like immigration, security, defence and the Green Deal. Unfortunately for Le Pen, though, Maloney's response was lukewarm. Both because a Maloney-Le Pen supergroup would probably be too right-wing for Maloney's other suitor, von der Leyen, but also because this far-right supergroup wouldn't be that ideologically cohesive, given the intense divisions between them on issues like Ukraine and EU membership. For example, while some ID members like Le Pen's RN and Italy's Lega have softened their Euroscepticism and tempered their friendliness towards Russia in the last few years,
Can actually see the
ID's
benefit of that.
Austrian
Like we
member,
want them
the
to implode, so
far-right
there's more of them, so the
pro-Russian
right-wing
Freedom
votes
Party
go to more
has centered its
smaller
campaign
parties.
heavily on anti-EU sentiment, using the slogan "Stop EU Madness," with an image of von der Leyen kissing Ukrainian President Zelensky. So again, if Maloney and Le Pen were to form a far-right superbloc, it's unlikely that their members would vote coherently anyway. So with only a few days to go until things kick off, who is Maloney most likely to choose, von der Leyen or Le Pen? Now, we obviously can't say for sure until we know the results of the election. Maloney has strategically avoided stating her preferences thus far.
Yeah, she's smart,
saying,
she's smart.
My main objective is to build an alternative majority to the one that has governed in recent years, a centre-right majority. Essentially, Maloney is probably quite likely to benefit from either outcome, though. Her domestic popularity remains high, and the very fact that she has both centre-right and far-right EU politicians pursuing her speaks to her growing continental influence too. Maloney has already managed to extract some big wins from her friendship with von der Leyen, such as concessions for farmers during the anti-EU green transition protests and EU immigration deals with African nations. And she'd be well placed to get more if she decided to take the Brothers of Italy into the EPP, and if von der Leyen were to win a second presidential term. Equally, while the far-right parties do seem quite incoherent in terms of ideology, it's possible that Meloni could exercise outsized influence in the superbloc, given her warm relations with leaders even as tangential as Viktor Orban, whose Fidesz party currently doesn't belong to a faction at all. Ultimately, though, it's fair to say that Meloni has been one of the EU's most desirable figures over the past few months, and it's looking like this election really is hers to win. That's not the end of the story, though. And if you want to continue more, then you should check out Nebula News. Nebula News is our joint venture with Nebula, where the TLDR team curates a selection of videos that matter most in the world right now. No more feeling out of touch or not knowing what to say.
Man, they're gonna do well. They're gonna do fucking well. Like what they're basically telling us is, yeah, right-wingers, you know what right-wingers are gonna do well and they're gonna be in power regardless. Because Meloni's playing it smart. So whatever happens really, she's gonna figure out a way to slither into power and to stay there. The Tories? Hey, what happened recently with UK? Fuck, I need to Google it. What happened recently? I've seen people posting about some debate that UK people had. What was about that? Who watched? I didn't. Sunak and someone. Starmer. Sunak and Starmer. Yeah, what was that? What was that? How was it? Did someone watch it? I didn't. I didn't. I saw people commenting on it. I saw Sunak didn't really do well, but I didn't like go to check out the video, to be honest. It's like UK. They're not really... They're not one of us. They're not one of us, okay? They left the group, so that I am going to be watching the debates, but I'm interested. Other fake blondies so to be jailed across the Atlantic. Oh. Sunak isn't a great public speaker, so I'm not surprised he didn't do well. Oh shit, he's not a great public speaker, really? At that position, incredible. Incredible. Just, wow. That's surprising to me. That is very surprising to me. Not good at anything but flying helicopters. Are we hoping he's out of power then?
I detect a little communism.
Yeah, I have to update my sound alerts. You reminded me. Every single time when I start the stream, they're like, hey, update the thing for sounds. And every single time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it after, and then I never do it after because I go to work. They're about to be deleted? What? Damn. Just, really? Genuinely? Genuinely? Holy, that's a huge change. What the fuck? I mean, alright, but damn. I did not expect. Holy shit. Wait, but he chose to do the elections now. Did he not know? He knew? Did he know that they were this unpopular? Holy shit. Oh, that's a huge change. Alright, it's the polls. You can't ever trust the polls 100%, right? But still... Bro. Man, what the hell? Oh, oh, damn, he had to do it. Could be even worse later in year. Oh, shit. I was thinking he could postpone it a little bit, but no, like it had to happen now. My man wanted to go for like, I don't know, holidays or some shit. Nice though. Damn, that's a huge change though. That is a huge fucking change. Polls are tools of the devil too. Polls and polls. You too, Slip. UK electoral system is cooked, so you can get millions of votes but 0 seats theoretically. Oh, it's the thing. There's a word for that. What's the word for that? There's a specific term for that. I looked it up for Croatian voting. Because we have the same bullshit. And we actually had a thing. It's not retardation. We had the same thing. With opposition parties demanding that we change the voting districts. I don't know. They change the lines between, so the opposition has more chance to be winning, and yeah, the ruling party didn't allow it, so it never changed. But yeah, I understand that, but still though. Gary Mandarin, fair. Fair. Jerry. He had to do it by the end of the year. Most commentators are surprised he didn't now though. Yeah. Why? Now he wanted the summer elections, alright? I'm calling. He wanted the summer elections. He was like, you know what? We do it now. We do it now, we solve it now, and that's that. Like, I'm at peace. I'm peaceful. By the way, I'm getting Twitter replies from a person. Spoke to a man in Croatian politics yesterday. Oh, it was incredible. Spoke to a man about Croatian politics, and he goes to me, oh yeah, did you know that gender dysphoria isn't a thing? And I'm like, elaborate. And he goes, every single expert that says gender dysphoria is real is actually an activist pushing for false diagnoses to be given to people. And I'm like, all right, do you have any reasons to believe that all of them are activists pushing for false diagnoses? He has a source from a Croatian Christian website, which basically goes through our experts, our educated people in psychology, and calls them activists because they recognize gender dysphoria. That's that. That's their version of what an activist is. Like if they write scientific papers in which they talk about the ways that they treat gender dysphoria in people or something, then they are activists. That's the standard. It's like when people talk about climate change, and then it's like, oh, every single scientist who believes in climate change is an activist. Just because they write scientific papers about climate change. It's such a stupid thing, because it puts you on a path of, all right, I never have to consider any sort of scientific research that proves I am incorrect, because I can just say that this scientific research was written by an activist. So I don't have to take it seriously. Because an activist wrote it. It's not actually a scientist. It doesn't matter that they were educated in this field. They are an activist, so it doesn't matter. And now he's responding to me on Twitter. It's a fucking ridiculous thing. Gerrymandering, it is. I remembered it when I saw you writing it. I was like, oh shit, yeah, true. Slovakia? Smer. Slovakia? I gotta look into. Gotta look into their parties. I gotta look into their parties. But man, no S&D, no Greens, no left. Yeah, it is. That's that. Whoops. And that's that. That's that, really. That's the whole thing. Clown bullshit. 23, 22, and then everyone else gets 12. Man! I'm really worried how our voting is gonna look. I'm really, really worried about our voting. I am so worried that our far right is going to get votes. I'm so worried. You can't imagine how worried I am about that. Only thing I heard from here is some Croatians are not happy of the euro adoption. Yeah, some Croatians are eating shit. It's alright, we're gonna be fine. It's just that the euro adoption has happened at the same time as rising inflation in Europe. So a lot of people who are rather creatively educated have had opinions that euro integration in Croatia is to be blamed for the inflation, rather than, you know, observing the rest of the world and the rest of Europe, if you don't want to look at global scale, and seeing that everyone is suffering some form of inflation right now because of the global situation that we have allowed to be happening. Wait, HDZ get in a vote? Alright. SDP losing a vote? Alright. Možemo get in votes? Alright. DP is problematic. Most is problematic. So that's a problem. HDZ is alright. HDZ is alright. HDZ is fine. SDP depends on who gets into the parliament. Depends on which member it is. Most problem, DP problem. Možemo good. That's it. HDZ +1 is bad. No, HDZ is alright. SDP has 3 SDP members as its top 3 candidates. What is? This result would have no re-representation as IDS plus wins no seats either. Yeah, actually. True. Yeah, true, because there is the P plus. Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, he's correct. To be fair. Polls. Now I gotta vote for commies. I'm not voting for commies. I am not choosing a commie. No fucking chance. But Možemo? Could go for Možemo. Možemo is alright, actually. I think I'm gonna go for them. I think I'm gonna go for them. Možemo is, fun fact, only Croatian party that doesn't have links to Russia. The only single one. Everything else, our left-wingers, our right-wingers, our imbeciles, everyone has a link to Russia apart from Možemo, the only party that doesn't. Two trains outside honking at each other. Nice, that's love. Doesn't have yet, true. Where do you say HDZ is based? It is. HDZ is alright as a party. They are alright on most of the issues because HDZ is doing the thing where they are center right. And the way that we define center right is mostly they are right on specifically the issue of helping Ukraine defend itself, because it's seen like as funding Croatian military more. So in that question, yeah, specifically right. They are also not really for progressive policies when it comes to LGBT, but they are not for damaging policies either. They're basically just like the way that situation is right now. We want to keep it the way that it is. That's that. We don't want to do too many changes. That's really that. They have introduced some progressive policies in the question 2 in the last few years, so including easier ability for people experiencing gender dysphoria to get treatments and to get hormonal therapy too. So it's like, it's all right when it comes to that. They're trying to stay neutral on most issues, basically. They are cool with that. When it comes to Russian links, the thing is, almost every single party that we have has either had Russian links or has them right now. HDZ has been alright with cutting theirs off. It still has them, but it is cutting them off, and it is advocating for help for Ukraine, military help specifically, which is what really matters to me, because I'm not too supportive of the bullshit about just humanitarian aid only. I support military help to Ukraine. HDZ supports military help to Ukraine. They have been, again, cutting off their links to Russia rather good recently. HDZ is one of those parties that they're not perfect when it comes to this question, but you wouldn't call them vatniks. You know what I mean? While SDP is a problem. SDP is a problem. Now, SDP is mostly a problem because SDP refuses to cut ties with the current president of Croatia. If they cut ties with him, they would have been alright, but they are refusing to cut ties with him, and then as he is the strongest member of SDP, I do believe that they all carry the weight of the shit that he says around. Oh, I'm leaving too. I have to leave in 2 minutes. Got 2 minutes more and then I gotta go to work. But yeah, HDZ is doing alright, genuinely. They've so far supported military aid to Ukraine. They have supported sanctioning Russia at every single voting. They have supported taking away Russian yachts that had been stationed in their waters, as the pay is doing genuinely fine. DP is the EID one. That's the one that doesn't support training Ukrainian soldiers on our soil, so traitors to Russia, so I despise them quite a lot. And most is just usual far right, which, you know, existing as pieces of shit that they are. Drones turning Russian invaders into cat food based. Project to boost tourism was funded and undertaken by our minister. Welcome to Meraviglia, featured in typical Italian landscape footage from the Croatian coastline in Slovenia. Hey! People were like, what the fuck is this, a war declaration? It would be if we knew about it. You'd get beaten up, but we didn't. You're lucky we didn't know. Alright, we would be sending all tanks that we have, which is like 2. But we would send both of them into Italy. And then you would lose. Because you got experience with that shit. Losses I could identify my own. May it get worse. May it get worse. May it get a lot worse. You can relate? Oh no, to what?
Kupiłam go kurwa w Niemczech i kurwa zapomniałam, że to będzie jakaś niemiecka klawiatura, jakiś umlaut. I to nawet nie jest najgorsze. Najgorsze jest to, że tu jest Z, a tu jest Y. Ja nie wiem, jak ja będę pisać. Właśnie odpaliłam nowego MacBooka, którego sobie kupiłam i...
No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit, genuinely. Pain in the ass. You know why I'm having the messages down there? I got added to a NAFO chat of Eastern Europeans. So look, officially I'm a member of the Eastern European NAFO organization. I'm gonna see if we have some continental Croatians as a part of it too. Your tanks are actually operational. Ours are in storages taking dust from decades. Hey, CCC, ours were only in storage for approximately 3 decades, because that's when we last had a war. So yeah, actually, ours are fresher than yours are. yeah, I have that too, because my keyboard, and right now this one isn't even that bad, because I bought it here, but it also has the Y and Z messed up. But at least it has the triche on proper places. Last one I had was even worse, because it didn't have the sh, j, triche, j. It didn't have them. It didn't have them at all. Yeah, it was a German keyboard. I had this exact feeling, and I wanted to write. But every single time I wanted to write something like chuvapchichi, I want to write cevapcici because I want to eat some cevapcici. And I don't know where ch is. And I don't know where ch is. So what I have to do is test out all the weird letters until I come to the proper one. Like I would just type, delete, type, oh, all right, this is the one. And then write the rest of the word. And then when it comes again, you have to test them again because I never knew where the fuck they were. It was so annoying. So, yeah. Yeah, Germany can't be existing as a country. I support that message. Germany cannot be existing as a country. It needs to be deleted overall from the face of the earth. Or start making proper keyboards because this is fucking ridiculous. And then the Y and Z thing, I have the Y and Z issue right now. It's such a stupid thing. It is such a stupid thing. There's no reason to be writing it like that. Ticks, Germans, and mosquitoes, indeed. I have to go. I have to go. I have to start work in a few minutes. See you Friday morning. Tomorrow I'm actually having my first class at my education on how to do digital drawing. So be happy for me. Be happy for me, all right? I don't know how it's gonna go. I'll have to do introduction and everything, and it's probably gonna be rather awkward. So wish me luck, wish me luck. So I'm going to be having education and practices on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we will be doing streams on Mondays, on Wednesdays, and Fridays. For now, that's the schedule. And yeah, Friday morning stream, same time slot as today. And then for next week, I'm gonna let you know. Hot mommy teachers. It's a man. I know it's a man. I'm actually hyped. I'm not as hyped for the lessons. Because most of the lessons, we're going to be, at least the first few lessons, we're going to be learning shit that I already know from out school. So I know all of that. But I did get added to their Discord. And in Discord, they publish you information about which firms in Croatia and abroad are willing to hire Croatian like illustrators and graphic artists. So it's a really, really good source actually. And if you build some connections in the community, you can actually get a job rather easily. So I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to figure out a way to slither in and then to never have to work retail again. So wish me luck, all right? Wish me a lot of luck on that. Because if it doesn't work, I'm gonna fall into depression. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see. But yeah. Will you still stream? I like streaming actually. I've learned when I took a break, I like streaming because I very much like speaking to normal people. I'm not a big fan of existing outside of the online spaces. I think it's because it was so much easier to build a normal group here who I can talk politics with. IRL, that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough, all right? You think you have a friend, IRL. You think. And then you ask them about moon landing. When's the last time you asked your friends about moon landing? Ask them about moon landing, trust me. All right? Yeah, or you think you have an Italian friend and then it turns out they're a fascist. You never know. You never know, right? Here I can ban you and I'll just forget about you and you'll forget about me. And it's gonna be GG. IRL, you make a friend and then you learn that they actually really like Putin. You can't ban them from existing. You still have to see them. It's a weird little thing. So here it has been rather easy to form this. And I enjoy this actually. I'm having lots of fun. Situation with businesses? Italian exports to Kyrgyzstan in January and February are up 2,200%. Well, I hope Italians are talking about that a lot. Now, Croatian exports are shit. Croatia isn't exporting shit. If our exports raise 2,200%, it's going to be like 1 more kilogram of grapes added to our exports, all right? We're not actually a superpower. We're not close to the level Italy is right now. But I hope lots of Italians are talking about this, and I hope lots of Italians are very, very, very worried about this, all right? Because this is very, very dangerous, and it is funding the Russian war machine. So be talking about that shit. Be talking about that shit. Serbia? Oh, it's just... No, it's Serbia exporting Serbs. Serbia is exporting Serbs. 600, 200%. That's Serbs being exported, and then they go and then they die in the fields of Ukraine before bitching because they are aware that they're going to die because they're not getting their weapons. That's what it is. It's not known to the white public. I hope you have good people to make it known to the white public, such as yourself. We all have to be activists in our own way, don't we? Also, I'm actually having to run. See you Friday. If you have any interesting shit to look at on Friday, send it to me. The best to send it in chat, because I'm gonna click on it in chat. But you know, if you send it in Discord, I'm gonna try to remember to save it too. Get hydrated, eat something healthy, eat some bugs actually, let me know how they taste.